Chapter 102. After dinner, the three of them left the restaurant. Chin Haodong was in a hurry, so he drove very fast. In less than half an hour, they returned to the Lin's villa. When they got home, he was eager to go to bed, but the little fellow was so excited because she won a championship today. She ran around the hall happily and didn't want to sleep at all. Later, he couldn't help but say, "It's time for bed. Go to bed." "Papa, but I'm so happy today. I'm not sleepy at all. Will you play with me?" Chin Haodong was eager to play with the child's mother. He said, "Well, Tang, it's too late. If you don't go to bed, you will disturb the neighbors." The little fellow blinked, looked at him and said, "But we have a separate house, don't we? How can we have neighbors?" Well, Chin Haodong realized that the Lin's villa was a separate building and there were no neighbors. "Well, Tang, Papa has been busy all day. I'm a little tired. Let's go to bed." "Well, since Papa is tired, let's go to bed." Seeing that he had finally persuaded the little fellow, Chin Haodong was happy. But then Tang said, "Papa, go to bed. I'll play with Mama." Well, Chin Haodong was disappointed again. What he wanted now was for the little fellow to go to bed and he would play with her mother. Helplessly, he sat on the sofa and looked at Tang eagerly. He thought to himself, "Why doesn't this girl understand your father's eagerness? Go to bed." Looking at Chin Haodong's depressed expression, a playful smile appeared on Lin Momo's cold face. The little fellow played until midnight. Then she lay on the bed, holding Lin Momo's hand in one hand and Chin Haodong's in the other. She fell asleep with a happy face. Feeling the little fellow's even breath, Chin Haodong held Lin Momo's hand and whispered, Tang is asleep." As if feeling Chin Haodong's mind, Lin Momo's cheeks turned red. She whispered, "I know. Let's go to bed too." Chin Haodong said with a smirk, "What sleep? How can you use such a good time to sleep? Don't you know that every minute of the night is precious?" After that, he stretched out his hands, gently picked up the little fellow and put her on his side. Then, he turned over and lay beside Lin Momo. "What are you going to do?" Lin Momo seemed very nervous. Her voice was somewhat trembling and charming. "Since you already know, why are you still asking me?" Chin Haodong suddenly held Lin Momo in his arms and kissed her hard. "No. Tang is still here." Lin Momo stretched out her hands to push Chin Haodong's chest, but she had no strength at all. "It's okay, the bed is so big, we can't touch her. Besides, I'm tired and won't wake up for a while." After saying that, Chin Haodong's hands began to explore Lin Momo's delicate body. That won't work either," Lin Momo continued. "Why not? Don't you like me?" Chin Haodong asked. Yes. But..." Lin Momo mumbled. The cold and arrogant female president was now like a little girl in love for the first time, extremely shy. Before she could finish her words, Chin Haodong blocked her cherry mouth with his big mouth, and then his offensive suddenly intensified. He was so passionate that his whole body seemed to be ignited by fire. However, when his big hand reached a certain part, his whole body suddenly stiffened, and his movements immediately stopped. Lin Momo became more and more shy and whispered, "I said no." Chin Haodong lay on the bed and asked helplessly, "When did she come?" Lin Momo said with a sneer, "Just now." Chin Haodong groaned inwardly. "My God, you can't play with me like this." It's not easy for the child's mother to agree, but it's her period. Is there anything more tragic than this? However, although he did not achieve his ultimate dream, he finally slept with the woman he liked. It was much better to sleep with such a beautiful woman in his arms than alone. After a while, Chin Haodong slowly fell asleep with Lin Momo in his arms. Lin Momo was a little shy at first, but then she slowly adapted to Chin Haodong's arms and found a sense of security that she had never had before. She also slept very soundly. Early the next morning, when the two were sleeping soundly in each other's arms, they were suddenly awakened by the little fellow's cry. "Papa, Mama, what are you doing?" It turned out that the two had slept so soundly. The sun had risen high outside, and even Tang Tang had gotten up. She was sitting next to them, looking at them with two big cute eyes, full of curiosity and confusion. Lin Momo opened her eyes and saw that she was hugging Qin Haodong's neck. They were so close that they could hear each other's breath. At this time, Qin Haodong's big hands were also in her pajamas. Seeing the little fellow next to her, she immediately became sleepy. Her cheeks flushed, and she quickly pushed Qin Haodong away and pushed the two strange hands out of her pajamas. Qin Haodong looked back at the little fellow. He was a little embarrassed for taking her place, so he said, "Papa and Mama are sleeping. Why are you hugging each other when you sleep?" The little fellow asked again. "Oh. Yes, Mama is not good at sleeping. I was afraid that she would fall to the ground, so I pulled her a little bit." Qin Haodong thought for a long time and finally found a barely reasonable reason. "But Papa, wasn't I in the middle? Why did you sleep in Tang Tang's place?" "Well, I don't know. Maybe Tang Tang was not good at sleeping, so she climbed over there." "Oh. It seems that Tang Tang has to be good at sleeping in the future, or what if she falls to the ground?" The little fellow muttered to herself. Seeing Qin Haodong fooling her daughter like this, Lin Momo secretly reached out her hand and pinched the soft flesh on his waist. It was so painful that Qin Haodong grimaced, but he did not dare to make a sound. Just then, Qin Haodong's phone on the bedside rang. "Papa, it's your phone." The little fellow immediately ran over and took Qin Haodong's old dummy mobile phone. Lin Momo said, "Why are you still using such an old mobile phone? Why don't you change it? As a capitalist boss, you don't pay me a salary. How can I afford to change it?" Qin Haodong said with a smile, "It's good enough that the mobile phone can be used. Although it's a little broken, it's fully functional and of good quality." After that, he glanced at the phone number on the mobile phone. His expression suddenly became serious, and he quickly pressed the answer button. "Little Dong, are you up?" A kind greeting came from the other side of the phone. The voice was not very pleasant, but it sounded very warm. "Aunt, I'm up," Qin Haodong replied. Lin Momo was quite surprised. Qin Haodong had always been cynical. She had never seen him talk to someone so seriously. The other side of the phone said, "Little Dong, it's already the summer vacation. Why don't you come back to see your aunt? Grandpa and Grandma miss you very much. You didn't go home during the New Year. We haven't had dinner together for more than a year." Qin Haodong said, "Aunt, I stayed in Jiangnan to work, so I didn't go back. You are always so competitive. If you have no money, just tell us and I will transfer it to your card. Although your uncle and I don't earn much, we don't spend much. The most important thing is that your sister graduated from college this year, so you don't have to worry about the tuition next year. I have already prepared it for you." "I see, Aunt." Qin Haodong could deeply feel the concern on the other side of the phone, and there was a faint mist in his eyes. "So don't work outside. Come back quickly. Grandma has been talking about you these days. She's waiting for you to come back to find a wife." Qin Haodong said, "I see, Aunt. I'll go back today." "Well, come back quickly. Your sister has already come back. When our family reunites, I will make your favorite braised pork." The other side of the phone said a few more words to Qin Haodong with concern and then hung up. Qin Haodong put away the phone and said to Lin Momo, "I'm sorry, I can't go to work today. I want to go back to my hometown. I have to ask for about a week's leave." "A week's leave? Are you going to go back for a blind date?" Lin Momo looked at Qin Haodong with a playful face. Qin Haodong's mobile phone was too old, and the room was very quiet. Even the little fellow was obedient and did not speak, so she heard the content of the conversation clearly. Okay. Papa is going to go on a blind date. He's going to find a new mama for me. The little fellow jumped happily on the bed when she heard the news. Qin Haodong looked embarrassed. Well, that's just a joke. How could I go on a blind date? Looking at Lin Momo's expression, he further explained, well, my grandma is old, so she wants to find a wife for me all day. It has nothing to do with me. And she doesn't know I have a girlfriend. If she knew there was a beauty like you, she wouldn't have asked me to go on a blind date. Well, I'll believe you this time. Lin Momo said, was it your aunt who called? Why did you only hear Grandpa and Grandma, but not your parents? Qin Haodong's face darkened. He said, I don't even know who my parents are. How could I mention them? Lin Momo was slightly surprised and asked, what's going on? Qin Haodong sighed and said, I was an orphan when I was a child. I was abandoned by my parents on the side of the road. I was not destined to die. An old Chinese medicine practitioner happened to pass by here, picked me up, and adopted me. When I grew up, I recognized the old Chinese medicine practitioner's family as my grandparents. The aunt who just called is his youngest daughter. Oh. Lin Momo knew that Qin Haodong had such an unknown life experience. She said, the old Chinese medicine practitioner's family is very good to you. The aunt who called just now seems to care about you very much. Qin Haodong said, Grandpa and Grandma are very good to me, even better than their own grandson. There was no need to mention my aunt. Although we weren't related by blood, she wasn't much different from my biological mother. After I was picked up by my grandpa, my aunt gave birth to my sister less than 3 days ago. She raised me and my sister together. Because I ate too much, my sister often didn't have enough to eat. Now when we meet, she complains that I robbed her of her food and caused her to be stunted. Speaking of this past, Qin Haodong smiled. It seemed that he was looking forward to the days when he was with his family. After a pause, he said, my aunt was a primary school teacher, and her income was not high. My uncle used to work in an enterprise, but later he was laid off. He could only earn some money by doing odd jobs. At first, it was better. Later, my sister and I went to college together, and the family's financial situation suddenly became tense. My aunt was very thrifty. She was reluctant to change her clothes for several years, so that she could save money for us to go to school. Chapter 103. Lin Momo had never had to worry about food and clothing since she was a child. She had never experienced the suffering of ordinary people. She asked in confusion, isn't your grandfather an old Chinese medicine practitioner? I heard that doctors nowadays make a lot of money. Why are you so poor? Qin Haodong said, it's true that he is an old Chinese medicine practitioner, but he doesn't care about money. He cares more about curing diseases and saving people. He never charges medical fees for treating people, and the medical fees he charges are only a little more than the cost. He also gives medicine to the poor for free, so his income is not high. In addition, he has been buying houses for his 2 uncles' wives in recent years, so his life is very tight. Because of this, his 2 sons think that Chinese medicine is not profitable and no one will inherit his medical skills. My aunt wants to learn, but Grandpa is full of feudal ideas. He said that it should be passed on to men and not to women, so he didn't teach my aunt. I like Chinese medicine since I was a child and learned a lot from him. Lin Momo nodded and said, you are unfortunate and lucky. Unfortunately, you were abandoned by your parents when you were a child. Fortunately, you met such a good family. They are all good people. Qin Haodong said, in fact, it's not exactly like what you said. Grandpa and Grandma are really kind and good people. Aunt and uncle are also very good people, but I can't say the same for the 2 uncles. They not only didn't inherit Grandpa's medical skills, but also idle all day. They don't do any work at all. They just want to get money from Grandpa all day. Lin Momo said, that can't be helped. The 9 sons of a dragon are different. Qin Haodong said, I wanted to work in Jiangnan Hospital to pay for my tuition during this vacation, so I didn't go back. Now that I have some money, it's time to go back. Lin Momo said, Grandpa, Grandma and Aunt are so good to you. You should go back and repay them. Well, I won't go to work in the morning. I'll go with you to buy some gifts for them. Qin Haodong looked at her with a smile and said, You're playing the role of a granddaughter-in-law so soon. Why don't you go back with me, so that Grandma won't force me to go on a blind date? Lin Momo blushed and said shyly, Bah. I don't care about your blind date. You can go on as many blind dates as you want. Qin Haodong said, You really don't want to go back with me? Lin Momo lowered her head and whispered, Is it really appropriate for me to go back with you like this? I'm afraid my grandparents will look down on me. It turned out that she had always felt inferior in front of Qin Haodong. She was a woman with a child, while Qin Haodong was a handsome and outstanding young man. Qin Haodong said, It's not a big deal. Grandpa, Grandma and Aunt are very nice people. They will like you and Tang Tang very much. Alright, I'll think about it. Lin Momo asked again, You haven't told me where your hometown is. Qin Haodong said, It's not far. It's in Wufeng County of Jiangnan City. It's only an hour or two by car. There were 2 counties and 5 districts in Jiangnan City. Wufeng County was one of the more remote counties, about 150 kilometers away from Jiangnan City. Wufeng County. Lin Momo said, You go back by yourself today. I'm going to Wufeng County to talk about a project in a few days. You can visit your grandparents and aunt on the way. The little fellow cried, I'll go too, I'll go too. I want to see Grandpa and Grandma too. Qin Haodong held her in his arms and said, That's Daddy's Grandpa and Grandma. You can't call them Grandpa and Grandma. You should call them Grandpa and Grandma. He then said to Lin Momo, Take Tang Tang with you. Let her see the place where I grew up. Okay. Daddy is the best to me. The little fellow said, holding Qin Haodong's neck and kissing him again and again. After breakfast, Qin Haodong and Lin Momo sent the little fellow to kindergarten and then went to buy gifts for their family. Lin Momo bought a lot of things. The Lamborghini Centenario and the Porsche 911 couldn't fit, so the Honda came in handy. The driver's seat and the trunk were full. After everything was packed, Lin Momo went back to work in the group. Qin Haodong drove out of Jiangnan City and went straight to Wufeng County. As soon as he drove on the highway, the mobile phone next to him rang. He glanced at the phone number and found it was Nailan Wuxia. Qin Haodong slowed down the car and answered the phone. He said with a smile, Officer, are you going to make me do free labor again? I can't do it today. I'm not in Jiangnan City. Nailan Wuxia said, That's a pity. I was going to treat you to dinner. It seems that the money for this meal is saved. Really? Treat me to dinner? Is there such a good thing? To tell you the truth, I've been promoted. Nailan Wuxia said excitedly, Yesterday's case was solved very well. Nearly 1,000 kilograms of drugs were seized. After the case was reported to the municipal bureau, Liu Bingzhong violated the procedures and interfered with the handling of the case, which almost affected the investigation of this major case. So he was removed from the position of Deputy Director of the Municipal Public Security Bureau. Captain Wang was promoted to the position of Deputy Director because of his meritorious service in solving the case, and I replaced him as the captain of the crime squad. That's a good thing. Congratulations. But I'm really not in Jiangnan City. When I come back, I'll celebrate with you and Captain Wang. After these few times, Qin Haodong had a good impression of Wang Jianfeng, not to mention Nailan Wuxia. The promotion of the two was really a good thing for him. After chatting for a while, Nailan Wuxia hung up the phone. Qin Haodong sped up and entered Wufeng County an hour later. Qin Haodong grew up in this small county. He was very familiar with the environment here. Soon he drove to a small street in the west of the city. His grandfather's name was Li Qingshan. He opened a Jishe traditional Chinese medicine clinic on this street. The old man often said that as a doctor, he should practice medicine to win people's hearts. That was how the name of the clinic came about. The scale of the clinic was not large. It was opened in a small yard where Li Qingshan lived. There were 3 main rooms for his family. One of them was Qin Haodong's room. The other 3 gatehouses served as clinics for patients. After Qin Haodong entered the street, he found that there were 4 or 5 cars parked in front of the Jishe clinic and a lot of people gathered. These people were lying in front of the door and looking inside. It seemed that they were watching the fun, but they did not dare to go inside. Did something happen at home? It should not be. According to his grandfather Li Qingshan's character, even if the patient could not pay, he would always smile and never argue with others. How could something happen? The car was getting closer and closer. Qin Haodong faintly heard the quarrel coming from the yard. He quickly pulled over and then hurried to the door. At this time, in the Jishe clinic, a bald middle-aged man in his 40s was sitting in an old-fashioned wooden armchair. He shouted arrogantly, "Smash it all. Let's see if this old man will give me a prescription or not." After he finished speaking, more than a dozen hooligans gathered in the room waved the steel pipes and machetes in their hands and smashed the Jishe clinic. The bottles, cans, and all kinds of equipment in the room were smashed to pieces, and the sound of crashing echoed incessantly. "Bai Wenjie, bastard, you dare to smash my clinic. I will kill you." An old man in his 70s, dressed in a long robe, shouted and wanted to fight the bald man to the death. However, he was too old, and with his anger attacking his heart, he suddenly felt the world spin around him. His body tilted and he fell backward. Fortunately, a middle-aged woman and a girl of about 20 years old followed him closely. They rushed forward to support the old man. The girl pulled a chair and helped the old man to sit down. The middle-aged woman said, "Dad, don't be angry with this bastard. Evil people like him will be punished sooner or later." The old man was Qin Haodong's grandfather, Li Qingshan. The middle-aged woman was his aunt, Li Shulan. The girl was his sister, Wang Rubing, who grew up with him. "Bastard, you are a bastard. You will be punished sooner or later." Li Qingshan trembled in anger as he watched his entire life's work be destroyed bit by bit in the hands of these hooligans, but there was nothing he could do about them. "Bai Wenjie, don't be arrogant. I have called the police." "Calling the police? It's really interesting." Bai Wenjie laughed as if he had heard the most ridiculous thing. After laughing enough, he said, "Little girl, do you know that Wufeng County is my world? The director of the Public Security Bureau is my brother-in-law. What can you do if you call the police? If you don't believe it, wait and see if anyone dares to meddle in my business." At this time, the gangsters had smashed almost everything in the store. A yellow-haired gangster ran over, bowed and said, "Brother, we've smashed everything. If we keep smashing, we'll have to smash this old thing's bones." Bai Wenjie said, "What are you talking about? I always win people by virtue. I have just said that this time I only smash things. If you want to break the old man's bones, you have to wait until next time." With that, he smiled slyly at Li Qingshan. "Old man Li, you've seen it too. My brothers don't have good tempers, so hurry up and write me the recipe. Otherwise, if my brothers lose their temper and tear apart your old bones, it won't be good for anyone." Wang Rubing said, "We don't have a prescription for boys and girls at all. How can we write it to you?" Bai Wenjie sneered and said, "Little girl, you are too young to lie to me. I have inquired clearly that this old man has a secret prescription for having a son. As long as you take the medicine according to the prescription, you can guarantee to have a boy." Li Qingshan said angrily, "You are dreaming. I have my principles of practicing medicine. It is against the law of nature to judge a man and a woman. Even if I have a prescription, I will not give it to a villain like you." Bai Wenjie's face darkened. He stood up and walked to Li Qingshan. He said, "Old man Li, I will talk to you again. I have money, but I have no son. I have 3 children, but they are all girls. Who will give the hundreds of millions of property in the future? As long as you hand over your prescription, I will leave immediately. You open your clinic and I will give birth to my son. How nice it is that everyone is happy. If you don't give me face, I will tear down your store first, and then I will break your old bones. Let's see whether your mouth is harder or your bones are harder. Li Qingshan trembled with anger and said angrily, "How dare you? I don't believe that there is no law in this world. You can kill me if you have the ability." Bai Wenjie said, "Old man, are you senile? Do you want to die? It's just a fucking prescription. Do you want to take it to the coffin? I tell you, don't flaunt your seniority in front of me, or you will die without knowing how." Li Shulan pointed at him and scolded, "Bai, you have done too many immoral things because you can't have a son. 7 people died in your mine the year before last. You not only didn't pay, but also hurt the families of the deceased. Last year, you made a lot of money in your mine, but you didn't pay the wages of the workers. How can an immoral person like you have a son?" Chapter 104. Li Shulan scolded, "You bastard, you have smashed my store. What else do you want? If you continue to do this wicked thing, not only you can't have a son in this life, but you will also have no descendants in the next life. Bitch, you dare to curse me to die without descendants? Fine, don't you have a beautiful young lady here? I'll bring her back today. When she gives birth to a son for me, I'll send her back to your Li family." After Bai Wenjie finished speaking, he walked to Wang Rubing with an obscene smile. "If you dare to touch my daughter, I will fight with you." Li Shulan was about to rush to Bai Wenjie, but she was blocked by 3 gangsters. She rushed several times but failed. She was a middle-aged woman in her 50s. How could she be the opponent of 3 strong young men? Bastard! You bastard! Li Qingshan was so angry that his eyes were full of fire, but he was also pressed on the chair by a gangster and could not stand up at all. "Little girl, it's useless to resist. Hurry up and go back with me to have a son." Bai Wenjie rushed to Wang Rubing with an obscene smile. When he was very proud, he suddenly felt the back of his neck was tight, and then his body suddenly flew out and hit the wall next to him. At this time, the room was full of all kinds of fragments. Bai Wenjie rolled down the wall and immediately let out a scream like a pig. He was covered with glass fragments. "Sister, are you all right?" Qin Haodong said to Bai Rubing, who had been scared and pale. Bai Rubing looked at Qin Haodong, who suddenly appeared in front of her, and said incredulously, "Are you Little Dong?" "It's me." "What? Don't you know me after just over a year?" "Little Dong, run. I'm a woman. They dare not do anything to me." Bai Rubing pushed Qin Haodong to the door desperately. In her opinion, her brother beat Bai Wenjie, and he would definitely retaliate. But after a few pushes, Qin Haodong did not move. She could not help but say anxiously, "Why don't you run? Bai Wenjie will kill you later." At this time, Li Shulan also rushed over and said to Qin Haodong eagerly, "Yes, Little Dong, run quickly, or it will be too late." In the face of their concerned eyes, Qin Haodong felt warm. He knew what would happen to the 2 women if he really ran away. Even so, they still wanted to protect him desperately. How could he not be moved? "Sister, aunt, don't worry. They can't do anything to me. This child, why are you so stubborn? They are all hooligans, you should run quickly." Li Shulan and her daughter were so anxious that their tears almost fell down. "You hit me and you still want to run? Dream on." At this time, Bai Wenjie had already climbed up from the ground. He wanted to wipe the blood on his face, but he suddenly pressed on the glass debris and screamed in pain again. This made him hate Qin Haodong even more. He shouted at his gangsters, "What the hell are you standing for? Waiting to eat shit? Hurry up and destroy this guy. Beat him hard for me. If anything happens, I'll take responsibility." After he gave the order, the gangsters immediately waved the steel pipes and knives in their hands and rushed to Qin Haodong. "Don't mess around. Is there any law? Li Shulan, like an old hen, opened her arms in front of Qin Haodong, but was pulled behind by Qin Haodong. "Aunt, leave this to me." Before Li Shulan could react, Qin Haodong had rushed to the gangsters. Li Shulan cried anxiously, "How can you beat those hooligans? Come back." Wang Rubing also shouted, "Little Dong, don't do stupid things." Bai Wenjie picked up the glass debris on his body and scolded, "You dare to beat me? You must be tired of living. Beat them hard." At this moment, an amazing scene happened. Those gangsters flew out as if they had been hit by a bomb. They fell to the ground in a miserable howl. In less than a minute, no one was standing. Qin Haodong was angry that these gangsters smashed his grandpa's shop. Naturally, he would not show mercy. These people had broken arms and legs. Even if they recovered later, they would be disabled. It was impossible for them to harm the society. Li Shulan and Wang Rubing shouted worriedly at first. Later, they opened their mouths directly and could not make any sound. They couldn't believe the scene in front of them. They didn't understand how Qin Haodong suddenly became so powerful. "Beat them. Beat them hard for me. If they die, I'll take responsibility." Bai Wenjie only cared about picking up the glass debris on his body. When he heard the scream, he thought it was Qin Haodong, so he still shouted loudly. Suddenly, a joking voice sounded in his ear, "Who do you want to beat?" Bai Wenjie was shocked and suddenly raised his head. He saw that his men were lying on the ground, crying and howling, but the young man was standing in front of him intact. You. He looked at Qin Haodong in horror, but he couldn't even say a complete sentence. "What, can't you speak? It seems that your mouth is not very good. I have to help you," Qin Haodong said and slapped Bai Wenjie in the face with his backhand. He flew out directly and his body was full of glass debris again. "Little bastard, how dare you hit me?" Bai Wenjie didn't realize his situation at this time. He even scolded again. Unsurprisingly, he was slapped by Qin Haodong again. He got up from the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood mixed with his teeth. Now he was a little sober. The young man in front of him was definitely a ruthless character. "Boy, do you know who I am?" He wanted to say his name to frighten the young man, but he flew out again. Qin Haodong stepped in front of him and said in a cold voice, "How dare you act like a pretentious prick at this time? No matter who you are, I will gouge out your 3 eyes if you provoke my family, even if you are Prince Ma. Little bastard, I am Bai Wenjie of Wufeng County. If you dare to hit me, you will go to prison for the rest of your life." Bai Wenjie was so angry that he cursed again. In response to him was a cracking sound. There was a heart-wrenching pain in his arm, which almost made him faint. Looking at his broken arm, Bai Wenjie's face was distorted. "Boy, are you crazy? My brother-in-law is the director of the Public Security Bureau. How dare you hit me?" "Kacha," another crisp sound rang out, and his other arm was broken again. This time, Bai Wenjie was completely dumbfounded. The cruelty of the young man in front of him was far beyond his imagination. Not only his name, Bai Wenjie, was useless, but also his brother-in-law, the director of the Public Security Bureau. "Stay there obediently. If you dare to make even the slightest noise, I'll break both your legs." Bai Wenjie was completely frightened by Qin Haodong's cruel means. Although his arms were painful, he did not dare to make any sound. After Qin Haodong taught Bai Wenjie a lesson, he turned to Li Qingshan and said, "Grandpa, are you all right?" Li Qingshan said, "Little Dong, you are too impulsive. If you beat these people, the police will definitely arrest you. Run quickly. If anything happens, I will take care of it." "It's okay, Grandpa. I know." Qin Haodong said indifferently, "Grandpa, what the hell is going on? What are these people doing here? Why do they want to smash our store?" Bai Rubing had recovered from the shock at this time. She was more articulate and told the whole story from beginning to end. Bai Wenjie, the villain, has done too many bad things. He can't have a son, so he has to rob Grandpa of the secret of having a son. If Grandpa doesn't give it to him, he will smash our clinic, bastard, how dare he bully my family. Qin Haodong scolded. He turned back to Bai Wenjie and said, who gave you the courage to smash my grandpa's store? Don't be angry, little brother. Don't be angry. I will pay for all the losses. Looking at the murderous Qin Haodong, Bai Wenjie was completely afraid. He was afraid that the young man would completely destroy him in a rage. Seeing that this guy was sensible, Qin Haodong finally restrained his murderous intent a little. He turned back to Bai Rubing and said, Sister, you calculate how much our family has lost. Bai Rubing looked at the smashed things in the room and made a simple calculation. She said, they have smashed so many things that they can't open for a short time. The direct and indirect losses add up to about 30,000 yuan. Qin Haodong turned back to Bai Wenjie and said, did you hear that? We lost 3 million yuan. Don't think about getting out of here with less money. Bai Wenjie was stunned at once. The young man was so ruthless that he suddenly increased the price by 100 times. He quickly said, little brother, did you hear it wrong? I heard 30,000 yuan. How could I hear it wrong? It's 3 million yuan. Why, don't you want to? Qin Haodong looked at Bai Wenjie, and his eyes were as cold as knives. Bai Wenjie shivered and said quickly, agree. I will pay for it right away. You mean it? No one forced you, right? I mean it. I'm willing to pay for the things I smashed. I'm willing to pay for it, now. Bai Wenjie didn't dare to say a word of no. It's good that you're willing. I never force others. Qin Haodong turned back to Bai Rubing and said, Sister, take your mobile phone and record it to prove that Mr. Bai is willing to pay for it. The reason why he did this was to avoid future trouble for the Li family. After all, he couldn't stay in Wufeng County all the time. Although she didn't understand what Qin Haodong was doing, Bai Rubing took out her mobile phone and pointed it at Bai Wenjie. Qin Haodong turned back and said, since you have repented and are willing to pay for it, transfer the money now. Little brother, both of my arms are broken. I can't turn them. How about I pay for it after I cure the disease? Bai Wenjie secretly calculated that as long as he got through this, when his brother-in-law came, he would immediately send Qin Haodong to prison. Let alone 3 million yuan, he wouldn't even pay for it. That's easy. Qin Haodong said as he grabbed Bai Wenjie's right arm and gently moved it with both hands. With a click, his broken arm was reconnected. Li Qingshan had been sitting next to him. When he saw Qin Haodong's bone-setting skill, he immediately widened his eyes. As an old Chinese medicine practitioner, he knew the mystery of Qin Haodong's bone-setting skill. He would never be able to do it. Qin Haodong said, well, you can transfer the money now. Bai Wenjie was shocked. He moved his arm, but there was no pain at all. Hurry up. My time is very precious. I only give you 3 minutes. Qin Haodong said to Li Shulan, Aunt, write our account number to him. Chapter 105. Soon, Li Shulan's mobile phone rang. She took a look and found that Bai Wenjie had transferred 3 million yuan to her account. Although she was very angry when the gangsters smashed the store, Li Shulan still felt a little flustered when she saw such a long string of numbers. She whispered in Qin Haodong's ear, Little Dong, is this appropriate? Qin Haodong smiled and said, it's a matter of course to pay back debts. They smashed our store, and now they voluntarily pay for it. What's wrong with it? Just take it. After that, he turned to Bai Wenjie and said, am I right, Mr. Bai? Yes, that's right. Bai Wenjie endured the sharp pain in his arm and tried to squeeze a smile, but it was uglier than crying. Although Li Shulan was still a little uncertain, she hesitated for a moment and finally did not say anything. Bai Wenjie said, Little brother, I have paid for it. Can I go now? Don't worry, we haven't finished yet. Qin Haodong said. Bai Wenjie grinned and said, yes, little brother, I have paid 3 million yuan. Why haven't you finished? Qin Haodong pulled a chair and sat opposite Bai Wenjie. He said, I heard that you have done a lot of wicked things these years. Let's settle this account today. Bai Wenjie said, This seems to have nothing to do with your family. It didn't have anything to do with us, but since you came to us today, it has something to do with us. Today I will seek justice for the villagers of Wufeng County. Bai Wenjie grinned. He was now regretting it. Why did he suddenly come here to make trouble today? As a result, he was beaten like a dog and paid 3 million yuan. Now it seemed that it was not over. But now all the initiative was in the hands of Qin Haodong. He had no room to resist and could only bear it. Qin Haodong asked, I heard that 7 people died in your mine. Not only did you not pay them a penny, but you also beat their families. Is that true? It was not a secret in the whole Wufeng County. It was impossible for Bai Wenjie to deny it. He could only bite his teeth and said, Yes, that's true. Now, give them the money. 1 million for each family. Bai Wenjie shivered and cried, 1 million, that's too much. According to the normal compensation standard, it's about 300,000. If you were to compensate normally, it would be 300,000. But not only did you not pay, you even hit her family. You've been in arrears for so long, and the psychological damages added up to 1 million. Hurry up and pay. Bai Wenjie wanted to object, but in the face of the young man in front of him, he had no courage to resist. He could only say, I don't know their account number. I can only transfer it to them after I go back and check it out. That's simple. I can help you. After that, Qin Haodong dialed Qi Weiner's phone number and briefly told her what had happened. Then he said, I need the bank accounts of the 7 victims' families. Can you find them? Qin Haodong wanted to bring down Bai Wenjie once and find out the brother-in-law behind him. Unexpectedly, there was a noise at the door and 7 or 8 policemen rushed in. Although there was still a little regret, it was more than enough to deal with Bai Wenjie with these things now. Qin Haodong said to Wang Rubing, post this video on the internet. Wang Rubing agreed and immediately sent the video to several major websites with the highest traffic in Huaxia. Although Bai Wenjie had some background in Wufeng County, as long as the video was released, she believed that no one would dare to speak for him. Don't move. What's going on? The middle-aged policeman with glasses was the head of the police station, Zhang Meng, who was in charge of this street. He had received the alarm from the Li family half an hour ago. However, Bai Wenjie had already told Zhang Meng before he came. He was rich and was the brother-in-law of the director of the Public Security Bureau, so Zhang Meng naturally did not dare not to give him face. He had been delayed until now. Originally, Zhang Meng wanted to deal with the funeral affairs for Bai Wenjie. He did not expect to see such a scene when he entered the door. Bai Wenjie, who had always been arrogant, was kneeling in front of a young man at this time. His expression was trembling, and his gangsters were lying on the ground. A gangster closest to Zhang Meng got up from the ground, pointed to Qin Haodong and shouted, Director Zhang, that's the guy who hurt us. You must help us. Zhang Meng glanced at Bai Wenjie, who was covered with blood, his face was covered with glass debris, and his left arm had been seriously deformed. The brother-in-law of the director was beaten like this in his jurisdiction. How could it be? If it was not handled well, he might not be able to keep the hat on his head. Thinking of this, he immediately shouted, Come on, arrest the murderer for me. The 2 policemen behind him answered and rushed to Qin Haodong with handcuffs. Wang Rubing reached out to stop them and said angrily, You didn't care when my house was smashed just now. Now my brother has cleaned up these gangsters, and you come to arrest people. Is there any law? Yes, you can't arrest people randomly, the young man is a good man. You can't arrest him. At this time, people who had been hiding at the door to watch the scene all rushed in. The clinic, which was very spacious, was full of 70 or 80 people. When the gangsters smashed the clinic, these people gathered at the door, but they were afraid of Bai Wenjie's power. They were angry but dared not speak. Most of these people were the old neighbors of the Li family, who had received benefits from the Li family over the years. There were also a few families of the dead miners and migrant workers who owed wages. They just received a text message from the bank. The money they had asked for a long time had finally arrived. Naturally, they were full of gratitude to Qin Haodong. Now seeing the police arresting Qin Haodong, they could no longer hold back and rushed to stop the police from arresting him. Seeing so many people rushing together, Zhang Meng was also very nervous, but he still pretended to be calm and shouted, "What are you doing? You are obstructing official business. It's against the law. We don't care about obstructing official business. We only know that the young man is a good man. You can't arrest him." "That's right. You are the police. You should arrest those gangsters." Looking at the excited people, Zhang Meng also felt guilty. If it really caused a group incident, he couldn't afford the consequences. But if he didn't arrest the young man, he couldn't afford the anger of the director. Thinking of the hat on his head, he shouted to everyone, "Didn't you see that he violated the law? He must go to the police station for investigation." At this time, Qin Haodong stepped over and said to Zhang Meng, "Officer, tell me, how did I break the law?" Zhang Meng pointed to the injured gangsters and shouted, "You hurt so many people. Isn't it illegal?" Qin Haodong's face darkened and said, "You only saw that they were injured. You didn't see what they did. Not only did they smash my grandfather's shop, but they also attacked me with weapons. Can't I defend myself? Can't I just stand here and be cut by them?" Wang Rubing also said, "That's right. My brother defended himself. There is a surveillance video in the shop. You can check it if you don't believe it. We all saw that the young man defended himself. These gangsters deserve to be beaten. We can all testify." The onlookers all shouted at the same time. Zhang Meng looked dull. He naturally knew what was going on. He pointed to the miserable Bai Wenjie and said, "Even if you beat those people in self-defense, what about Mr. Bai? You beat him like this. You have to give an explanation, right?" Qin Haodong smiled and said to Bai Wenjie, "Mr. Bai, this police officer wants an explanation. You can tell him." Bai Wenjie said, "Director Zhang, I deserve to be beaten. I brought people to smash this traditional Chinese medicine clinic. I wanted to molest the little girl. It's all my fault. It has nothing to do with this young man. Besides, he also educated me and taught me to do good deeds and be a new man." Chapter 106. Zhang Meng was completely dumbfounded. Looking at Bai Wenjie's repentant face, he thought, is this the brother-in-law of the director who bullied others and was unreasonable? The onlookers were also dumbfounded. No one expected that this evil bully would turn over a new leaf. Did the sun rise from the west? After the shock, Zhang Meng was in a dilemma again. Although Qin Haodong had beaten so many people, it was self-defense. Bai Wenjie, the victim, was willing to do it. How could he arrest him? Bai Wenjie said again, "Director Zhang, I've committed so many crimes. I want to surrender. Please arrest me as soon as possible." Zhang Meng suddenly felt a headache and a little confused. What's going on? He couldn't arrest those he wanted to, and those he didn't want to arrest voluntarily surrendered. He had been a policeman for more than 10 years, but this was the first time he had encountered such a situation. He hesitated for a moment and looked at the covetous crowd next to him. He knew that it was impossible to arrest Qin Haodong today. This matter could only be discussed later. Let's take Bai Wenjie and others away first. Arrest them all and take them away. Zhang Meng waved his hand and asked his men to handcuff all the gangsters, and then took Bai Wenjie out of the clinic. Of course, arresting them was just for show. These people would be released when they went out. Zhang Meng knew this kind of thing, so did his men. Just outside the gate, a little policeman whispered in Zhang Meng's ear, "Director, shall we let Mr. Bai go back first?" "Not now. There are so many people watching. Let's take them back to the police station." Zhang Meng had faintly noticed that some people were looking at this side from behind. He asked his men to take Bai Wenjie to his police car. Other gangsters were also taken to other vehicles, and rushed to the police station together. There were 4 people in this car. In addition to Zhang Meng and Bai Wenjie, there was a driver and the little policeman. Both of them were Zhang Meng's confidants. After getting on the car, Zhang Meng asked, "Mr. Bai, what's wrong with you today? Did that guy threaten you? Now it's all right. Tell me if you have anything to say." "No one threatened me. I really realized my mistake, so I want to turn myself in. Please give me a chance to turn over a new leaf." Looking at Bai Wenjie's sincere face and repentant eyes, Zhang Meng cursed in his heart. What the fuck was going on? This guy must be crazy. After the young policeman got into the car, he didn't pay attention to them at all. He kept fiddling with the phone in his hand. Suddenly, his expression changed and he shouted, "Chief, something bad has happened." Zhang Meng was a little annoyed. After hearing the little policeman's shout, he said discontentedly, "What are you shouting for? What's the big deal? Even if the sky falls, I will hold it up." "Director, look, Mr. Bai's video has been posted on the internet. Now he is the headline of many websites." After the young policeman finished speaking, he clicked on a video on his phone and sent it to Zhang Meng. Hearing that it was Bai Wenjie's video, Zhang Meng was slightly stunned, then reached out to take the mobile phone. After watching it from beginning to end, he was dumbfounded. Crazy. Crazy. Bai Wenjie was really crazy. This was the only thought in his mind at this time. Bai Wenjie confessed so many of his crimes, many of which were felonies, and there were 2 lives in it. The most important thing was that this video had been posted on the internet. With such a big storm, he couldn't suppress it even if he wanted to. At this time, their car had driven into the police station. A policeman behind ran over and asked, "Director, should we let these people go?" "Go my ass. Take them all to the interrogation room. Don't let them go without my order." Zhang Meng had been a policeman for so many years. At this moment, he had realized the seriousness of this matter. Bai Wenjie's gangsters had worked with him for so many years, and none of them were clean. If they were released now, it would be a big trouble if they were traced. Not only these gangsters couldn't be released, but also Bai Wenjie couldn't be released. Now things had gone beyond the scope of his power, and he couldn't afford this responsibility. Although the policeman didn't understand why Zhang Meng suddenly changed his face, he could only send those gangsters to the interrogation room according to the order and lock them all up. Zhang Meng thought about it and decided to give this hot potato to Director Fu Haiken to deal with. Whether Bai Wenjie was arrested or released had nothing to do with him. Thinking of this, he took out his mobile phone and dialed Fu Haiken's phone. "Director, I'm Zhang Meng. There is an important thing that I need to report to you urgently." "What's the matter?" "You can say it." A middle-aged man's voice came over the phone. "Director, this matter is particularly important. It's not clear on the phone. I must report it to you face to face." Although Zhang Meng was Fu Haiken's direct subordinate, this matter was too important, so he also kept an eye on it. If he reported it on the phone, what if Fu Haiken asked him to release Bai Wenjie? If he really released Bai Wenjie, Fu Haiken wouldn't admit it later, and the responsibility would be on him. So he must hand Bai Wenjie to Fu Haiken face to face. "Well, come here. I'm at the Fragrance Hotel." Fu Haiken didn't know what happened here, and he trusted Zhang Meng very much, so he didn't think much and directly told him his location. Zhang Meng secretly breathed a sigh of relief and let the driver drive straight to the Fragrance Hotel. The Fragrance Hotel was the only 4-star hotel in Wufeng County, and it was also the most upscale hotel here. In the luxuriously decorated No. 1 VIP room, Fu Haiken, the director of the County Public Security Bureau, was sitting together with a short and fat middle-aged man. This man was Hong Tianbao, the boss of Tianbao Real Estate Group in Wufeng County. He had a very good relationship with Fu Haiken. When they were together, they had done a lot of shady things. Although there were only 2 of them having dinner today, there was a table full of wine and dishes, which looked very sumptuous. Hong Tianbao grabbed a bottle of Maotai and poured a full glass for Fu Haiken. He smiled flatteringly and said, "Brother, please help me with the reconstruction of the old street this time." Fu Haiken picked up the glass and took a sip gently. He said, "It's not easy to deal with the old street. Now it's ordered again and again that the police are not allowed to be involved in the demolition." Hong Tianbao said, "Brother, I know that, and I don't want to trouble you. As long as you turn a blind eye when my people do it. To tell you the truth, the biggest difficulty of this demolition is the Jishe traditional Chinese medicine clinic. The old man surnamed Li is really a stone in the latrine pit, stinky and hard, but he is very prestigious in this area. No one can touch other people's houses if his family doesn't agree to the demolition. So I want to make a breakthrough from his house, and then it'll be easy for the other ordinary people." Fu Haiken said, "It's not easy to touch the old man Li Qingshan. He has a very high reputation in our Wufeng County. Even the 2 county leaders have been treated by him. If something really happened, no one would be able to bear the consequences. I think you'd better give him more money, so as to avoid unnecessary trouble. Brother, you don't know this, but I've already talked to that old man about other people's movements. I've already deducted half of the relocation fee and given all of it to him. However, this old fart still doesn't agree. He wants me to build a Chinese medicine clinic for him nearby, saying that he has to guarantee that he can treat everyone's illness before he agrees to relocate. Brother, think about it. Commercial outlets are so expensive now. If we just build a clinic for him, what can we earn? What do so many of my brothers eat? Besides, with the old man's bad temper, if we really give him more money, he will definitely go everywhere to show off. At that time, the house can't be built." Hong Tianbao said, but he secretly cursed Fu Haiken in his heart. This guy usually benefited a lot from him, but when he needed him to work, he didn't want to take any responsibility. However, if he wanted to demolish Li Qingshan's clinic, he had to talk to Fu Haiken, the local tyrant. Just when he wanted to say something again, the door opened and Zhang Meng came in, followed by Bai Wenjie and the little policeman. Fu Haiken looked up at Zhang Meng and asked, "What's the matter?" Zhang Meng looked at Hong Tianbao and looked a little hesitant. Fu Haiken said, "Brother Hong is one of us." "What's the matter?" With Fu Haiken's consent, Zhang Meng no longer hid and said, "Director, something big happened." "Is Mr. Bai crazy?" "What? What did you say?" Fu Haiken asked incredulously. At the same time, he looked at Bai Wenjie standing next to him and saw his brother-in-law covered with blood and a swollen face. He asked, "What the hell is going on?" "It's a long story. Director, you'd better watch this first," Zhang Meng said and waved to the little policeman. The little policeman immediately sent the mobile phone in his hand to Fu Haiken, and at the same time clicked the play button of the video. Fu Haiken looked at the video suspiciously. The more he watched, the more serious he looked. Finally, his whole face darkened. After watching the video, he slapped the table and scolded Bai Wenjie, "Is your fucking head kicked by a donkey? How dare you say anything? Even if you want to die, don't take me with you." Bai Wenjie's expression didn't change much. He said, "Brother-in-law, I know I'm wrong. I've done too many wicked things these years. I want to surrender to the public security organ." Fu Haiken didn't expect his brother-in-law to become like this. He cried to Zhang Meng, "What the hell is going on? Director, I suspect that Mr. Bai's brain has a problem. He must be crazy. Otherwise, who would say these terrible things clearly?" After listening to Zhang Meng, Fu Haiken took a deep breath and slowly calmed down. After all, he was also a person who had seen the wind and waves. He knew that the most important thing to do now was to be calm. Thinking of the video just now, although Bai Wenjie was crazy, he didn't say anything about himself, which was a blessing in misfortune. Thinking that he could keep his hat, he had a lot of confidence in his heart. He asked Zhang Meng, what happened today? Why did Wenjie become like this? I don't know the details. It's like this. Zhang Meng learned from the beginning to the end of today's matter, and finally said, Director, I think this matter must have something to do with the little bastard adopted by Old Li. This video must have been posted on the internet by him, including Mr. Bai's sudden madness. It's likely that he made it. After listening, Fu Haiken didn't speak. He leaned his head on the back of the chair, slowly closed his eyes and began to think. Now the urgent matter was how to deal with Bai Wenjie. If he was released, he couldn't bear it once the higher-ups investigated. Now the matter was too big, the higher-ups would inevitably send someone to investigate. He was just the director of the County Public Security Bureau, a cadre at the level of section chief. Such a big matter was not something he could handle. But if he didn't release Bai Wenjie, the tigress in his family only had such a brother. If he really sent Bai Wenjie to prison, the tigress would fight with him. Chapter 107. Hong Tianbao said to Fu Haiken, Brother, in fact, you are confused by the person involved. I have a good way to deal with this matter. Fu Haiken suddenly opened his eyes and looked at Hong Tianbao. Brother, tell me, what's the good way? As long as you help me get through this, we will be brothers in the future. Brother, are you worried about how to deal with Mr. Bai? Yes, he has made too much trouble now. It's really not easy to deal with. If he is really arrested, you know your sister-in-law's temper. She will make a scene with me. If he is not arrested, it will be a big trouble if the higher-ups really investigate it. Maybe I will be involved. Hong Tianbao said, in fact, it's easy. Although Mr. Bai said so many things in the video, his spirit is obviously unstable. Who knows whether it is true or not? Besides, Mr. Bai is so seriously injured now. First, we should apply for medical parole for him to go to the hospital for treatment. Even if the higher-ups find out, there is nothing wrong with him. Look, I'm really confused. I even forgot about medical parole. Fortunately, you reminded me. Fu Haiken looked relaxed, but then he said, Brother Hong, although this method is good, it can only alleviate the problem for a while. It can't solve the problem fundamentally. Hong Tianbao smiled and said, although medical parole is not a long-term solution, brother, you forget that Mr. Bai is crazy now. Let's do a psychiatric identification for him. As long as we get that little book, even if he has committed a big crime, it will not be a problem. Brother Hong, you're really smart. I'll remember this favor. Fu Haiken laughed. With his power in Wufeng County, it was easy to get a psychiatric certificate for Bai Wenjie. Moreover, Bai Wenjie's brain was really wrong now. He turned to Zhang Meng and said, hurry up. First, send Wenjie to the hospital for treatment, and then give him a medical parole procedure. The procedure must be done well. Don't let the higher-ups find anything wrong with him. Got it, Director. I'll do it now. Zhang Meng promised and left the office with Bai Wenjie. This ending was a happy one for everyone. He had benefited a lot from Bai Wenjie over the years. If he really wanted to thoroughly investigate, it would not be good. After they left, Hong Tianbao said to Fu Haiken, Brother, this matter is only half solved. There is still half left. Fu Haiken's mind was very sharp as he sat in this position. He was just too shocked and confused. Now that he had calmed down, he immediately reacted after hearing Hong Tianbao's words. Are you referring to the Li family? Yes, today's problem mainly lies with the grandson that old man Li adopted. If he doesn't let this matter go, it will be troublesome if the higher-ups really want to investigate it thoroughly. The best way is to get rid of him in advance. Fu Haiken touched his chin and said after pondering, the higher-ups will definitely send someone to investigate this matter, so if we want to touch that kid, we have to be thorough. We can't leave any traces. He's just a brat who hasn't even grown his hair yet. It'll be easy to deal with him. Hong Tianbao said with a sinister smile, Brother, you've just heard that this kid is hot-tempered and has some skills. If I ask someone to demolish his house now, he won't be able to control his anger and will inevitably do something to my people. At that time, I'll arrest him and send him to the police station. Let him stay there for 3 or 5 years. When he comes out, the storm will have passed and nothing will happen. Fu Haiken immediately understood that Hong Tianbao wanted to take this opportunity to demolish Li Qingshan's traditional Chinese medicine clinic. However, this approach was also beneficial to him, so he did not object. He thought for a moment and said, "It's a good idea, but are you sure that old man Li's family has no background? If we really provoke some big shots, it will still be troublesome. I can guarantee this. Old man Li has treated some diseases for these years. His family has nothing to offer at all. Because of the public relations. And you've seen that his traditional Chinese medicine clinic has been smashed by Mr. Bai. If he had any background, he would have used it long ago." Fu Haiken thought for a moment, nodded and said, "Brother, you're right. Let's do as you say, but be quick. We must get the kid in before the investigation team comes." Hong Tianbao was overjoyed. His method not only solved the problem of demolition, but also tied Fu Haiken to himself. Today's meal was really worth it. He got such a big surprise. "Don't worry, brother. I'll arrange people now. Let the kid spend the night in prison tonight." Then he immediately got up and went to arrange the forced demolition. In Jisher Traditional Chinese Medicine Clinic, after Zhang Meng and others left, those who received the money thanked Qin Haodong, especially the families of the deceased, who got 1 million yuan at once. They knelt on the ground and kowtowed to Qin Haodong excitedly. They didn't even get any compensation before. Finally, these neighbors were all sent away. Li Shulan took Qin Haodong's hand and said, "Little Dong, go quickly. You beat Bai Wenjie. His brother-in-law is the director of the Public Security Bureau. He will definitely send someone to arrest you later. Don't worry, Aunt. Now so many things have happened to Bai Wenjie. He can't protect himself. How can he care about me?" Qin Haodong had indeed arranged this. With his current cultivation, mind manipulating could be kept in Bai Wenjie's mind for 3 days. He would certainly not retaliate within 3 days. After 3 days, he would be arrested and put in prison. Is it really all right? Li Shulan was still a little worried. Qin Haodong said, "Of course it's all right. Bai Wenjie's brother-in-law is just a director of the Public Security Bureau. He is not the emperor. He can't protect such a big thing." Li Shulan thought about it and felt relieved. At this time, Wang Rubing stepped forward and pinched Qin Haodong's ear. She said, "Little boy, tell me, when did you become so powerful?" Qin Haodong hurriedly cried, Sister, let go of me. How can I get a wife in the future if you pull my ear long?" He and Wang Rubing grew up together, and Wang Rubing was only 3 days older than him. They were of the same age. They had the best relationship in ordinary days. It was common for them to fight. Although Qin Haodong was the Emperor Green with these years and his status in the cultivation world was unparalleled, he couldn't find this kind of family feeling. Therefore, he enjoyed the current family atmosphere very much. Li Shulan said, "Girl, let go of little Dong, or your grandma will scold you again when she comes back." Wang Rubing snorted and let go of Qin Haodong's ear. Li Shulan asked again, "Little Dong, tell me, what the hell is going on? When did you learn Kung Fu?" Of course, Qin Haodong couldn't tell that he was a cultivator. He said, "Aunt, my elective course in college these years is Sanda. It's not surprising that I know a little Kung Fu." "Come on, can the Kung Fu you learned in college be so powerful?" Wang Rubing didn't believe it. "I'm a martial arts genius. If you are bullied by your boyfriend in the future, just come to me. I will beat him into a pig's head." Qin Haodong said with a smile. "You." Wang Rubing reached out to grab the other ear of Qin Haodong. Li Qingshan said, "Well, stop it. I have something to ask little Dong." Wang Rubing glared at Qin Haodong and took back her right hand. Li Qingshan said to Qin Haodong, "Boy, who did you learn the skill of bone setting?" "I learned it from an old professor in our school. He has retired now. If Grandpa wants to learn, I can teach you." Qin Haodong fabricated a retired old professor. Anyway, no one knew whether what he said was true or not. "Oh." Li Qingshan sighed, "There are masters in Jiangnan Medical College. It was right to let you go there to study medicine. It seems that if you want to learn skills, you have to go to big cities." Speaking of this, Wang Rubing said excitedly, "Little boy, I tell you, I also went to Jiangnan City. If you encounter any difficulties in the future, I will protect you." Although they went to college together, the medical college took 5 years to graduate. The ordinary undergraduate university she studied in another city only took 4 years, and she just graduated this year. Qin Haodong asked, "Sister, where did you go?" Li Shulan said with a happy face, "Little Dong, your sister took the civil service examination after graduation. I didn't expect that she really passed the examination. In a few days, she will report to the Jiangnan Health Bureau." For ordinary families like them, it was absolutely a great joy for their children to be admitted to the civil service. "Yes, that's great." Qin Haodong was also happy for his aunt and sister. He said, "Sister, when you arrive in Jiangnan City, come to me. I will arrange a place for you to live." He was very clear that his aunt's family could not afford to buy a house in Jiangnan City in a short period of time. Even if they rented a house, it would be a big financial burden. Moreover, there were so many empty rooms in his villa. It was just right for Wang Rubing to live there. Before Wang Rubing could speak, Li Shulan quickly said, "That's not good. It's not easy for you to live alone in Jiangnan City. Your sister has graduated and worked to make money. How can you let her bother you?" "Aunt, it's not troublesome." Qin Haodong said half of the words, and finally didn't tell her about his villa. After all, what happened today was enough to shock his family. If he said too much, he was afraid that they would not be able to accept it for a while. "Little Dong, don't say it. It's absolutely impossible." Li Shulan kindly refused again. Qin Haodong sighed and said nothing. When he returned to Jiangnan City, he would directly pick up his sister. Li Shulan said again, "Little Dong, the 3 million yuan you just asked for can be used to renovate the clinic. You can take the rest to buy a suite in Jiangnan City. Now it's hard to find a wife without a house." Qin Haodong was moved. This aunt treated him better than his own mother. She didn't think of her daughter first when she got the money, but thought of him first. He said, "Aunt, I can't take the money. It's all for Grandpa. This house is too shabby. There's no need to renovate it. Let's renovate a new clinic." Li Qingshan said, "Little Dong, you can't do that. I can manage the clinic alone. You asked for the money. You can take it all." "Grandpa, I really can't take it. And I'm not short of money. I have a lot of money now." Li Shulan said, "This child is talking nonsense again. You are a student. How can you earn money? Just take it." When they were talking, a white-haired old lady came in from the door. It was Qin Haodong's grandmother, Zuolangji. The old lady was over 70 years old this year, but because of good maintenance, she was not deaf and blind, so she walked easily. As soon as she entered the door, the old lady did not notice the smashed clinic, but saw Qin Haodong at a glance. "Little Dong, grandson, you're back. I miss you so much." After seeing Zuolangji, Qin Haodong was moved. This old lady had favored him since he was a child. She treated him better than her own grandson. "Grandma, you're back. Be careful when you walk." There were smashed pieces everywhere on the ground. Qin Haodong rushed to hold the old lady for fear that she would fall. Chapter 108. Qin Haodong was afraid that the old lady would worry and said, "Grandma, you don't have to worry about it. Grandpa's clinic is too shabby. We'll build a new one in a few days, a big one. Li Shulan also said, yes, Mom, Dong is finally back. Don't worry about those things. Let's talk in the yard. I don't care. I don't care about anything. Old man, you can do whatever you want. Come, let's talk in the yard. Zhualangji took Qin Haodong's hand and went through the clinic to the backyard. She sat down on a bamboo chair and pulled Qin Haodong to sit beside her. The old lady had 2 grandchildren, but because of the sarcasm of her 2 daughters-in-law, the 2 grandchildren were not close to her since they were young. They could not see each other once a year. When they came, they just asked the old lady for money. In contrast, Zhualangji loved Qin Haodong, who grew up with her and was obedient and sensible. He was better than her own grandson. Qin Haodong was also very intimate with the old lady. He took Zhualangji's hand and said, Grandma, where did you go just now? Why didn't I see you? Zhualangji said, what else can I do? I asked my old sisters to help you find a wife. This afternoon is not in vain. I have arranged 3 girls for you tomorrow. Go with me on a blind date in the morning. After the old lady finished, Wang Rubing covered her mouth and giggled. Qin Haodong said with a bitter face, what? Blind date? Grandma, I haven't graduated from college yet. Why are you in such a hurry? Aren't you going to graduate in a year? It's a good thing to settle your marriage now and get married as soon as you graduate next year. Now there are more men than women in Huaxia. You have to hurry to find a partner. Besides, Grandma is eager to hold a great-grandson. Qin Haodong was speechless. Grandma, it's not urgent to find a partner. What's more, there's no blind date now. Why not? You have to listen to Grandma. Zhualangji said, Dong, since your grandfather brought you back to our Li family, we have to treat you as our own grandson. If one day your biological parents come and we marry a wife for you, your grandfather and I will be able to explain it. Grandma. Qin Haodong didn't know what to say, but he was deeply moved. Li Shulan said, when Grandma heard that you were coming back today, she immediately went out to find a wife for you. It seems that you can't refuse her. Qin Haodong had no choice but to say, Grandma, to tell you the truth, I already have a girlfriend, so I don't need a blind date. Stinking brat, are you trying to deceive your grandmother? Don't think that you can fool me just because I'm old. If you have a girlfriend, why didn't you tell me before? Once I ask you to go on a blind date, you'll have a girlfriend. Unless you bring her here now, you'll have to go on a blind date tomorrow morning. Grandma, what I said is true. Why don't I call her now and let you talk to her? The old lady said excitedly, really? You really have a wife? Hurry up and call her. I want to have a good chat with my granddaughter-in-law. In order not to go on a blind date, Qin Haodong had to dial Lin Momo's number. Unexpectedly, as soon as the phone was connected, there came a prompt that the phone was turned off. Qin Haodong couldn't help it. He knew that Lin Momo would always turn off her phone when she was in a meeting. It seemed that she was in a meeting now. Dong, did you call her? Zhualangji asked expectantly. Grandma, her phone is turned off. Maybe there's something over there. How about we call again tomorrow? Stinking brat, you lied to my old lady again. How can there be such a coincidence? Seeing that she couldn't talk to her granddaughter-in-law, the old lady immediately changed her face. You'll go on a blind date tomorrow morning. Don't try to fool my old lady again. Li Shulan sneered, Dong, it seems that you can't avoid a blind date, but it's also a good thing. What if you meet a girl you like? Qin Haodong was speechless. He never thought that he would have a blind date. At this moment, there was a sound of footsteps at the door. 4 people came in one after another. Zhualangji turned her head and the smile on her face suddenly disappeared. 2 middle-aged couples came in. Li Qingshan's eldest son, Li Cheng, and his daughter-in-law, Zhang Feng, walked in front. His second son, Li Kai, and his second daughter-in-law, Zhao Haili, walked behind. Li Qingshan and his wife had 2 sons and a daughter. The younger daughter, Li Shulan, was very filial. She often came to visit the 2 old people on weekdays. The 2 sons could basically only see each other once in the spring festival. Every time, because of asking for money from the old couple, they separated on bad terms. Last spring festival, they didn't even see their shadow. Today, they suddenly came. If you wanted to enter the yard of Li's house, you had to go through the clinic at the door first. When entering the door, Li Cheng saw a broken ground and said, "Dad, what's going on? Why was the clinic smashed?" Before Li Qingshan spoke, the second son, Li Kai, said, "It's good that the house is going to be moved. It's convenient to smash it." Li Qingshan originally sat aside and drank tea. Hearing Li Kai's words, he put the teacup on the table heavily and said angrily, "Bastard, what are you talking about?" "That's right. We'll move it right away. What's the point of keeping this broken clinic if we move it? Anyway, it's not profitable." Li Qingshan suddenly became angry and said angrily, "Little bastard, get out of here. Even if I die, I will die here. Let's see who dares to touch my house." Li Kai still wanted to say something, but was pulled behind by his wife, Zhao Haili. "Your broken mouth can't speak at all. You make our father angry when you open your mouth." After scolding Li Kai, Zhao Haili said to Li Qingshan with a flattering face, "Dad, Li Kai can't speak well. Don't be angry." Seeing Zhao Haili's flattering appearance, Qin Haodong was quite surprised. This woman had always been mean and never put the old man in her eyes. In the past, it was she who instigated Li Kai to quarrel with the old man. Why did she suddenly become sensible today? If it was said that Zhao Haili suddenly changed, Qin Haodong would not believe it. As the saying goes, a dog can't change its spots. This woman's virtue would not be much better in this life. Now she suddenly came to flatter Li Qingshan, which must be something, or she would never do this. Li Cheng, the eldest son, also said, "Yes, Dad, we don't come back often. It's not easy for us to see each other. Don't be angry." After all, they were his own sons. After listening to the 2, Li Qingshan's face also eased a lot. "Tell me, why did you come back?" Zhang Feng said, "Dad, don't say that. We are your son and daughter-in-law. Isn't it right to come back to see you?" Zuolangji said, "Well, although your father and I are old, we are not stupid. You can't come if you don't have something to say. Just say it." Li Cheng smiled embarrassedly. He moved a small stool and sat in front of Li Qingshan. He said, "Dad, Mom, if that's the case, we'll be frank with you. Today, my second son and I really have something to discuss with you." Li Qingshan looked at him, and then looked at Li Kai. He said with a sneer, "What? You came to ask me for money again?" Zhang Feng said, "Dad, it's not easy for you to earn that little money. How can we always ask you for money?" Qin Haodong was more and more surprised. He knew what these 4 people used to be like. They often quarreled with the old couple for money. Did they all change today? This was not normal. It seemed that there must be a bigger plot. Li Cheng said, "Here's the thing. My son, your eldest grandson, is 28 years old this year. He got a girlfriend a few days ago and is going to get married soon. Now he only needs a wedding house. It's almost 500,000 to buy a house of about 100 square meters in Wufeng County. You know our family's condition. We can't afford so much money. But we don't have a house, and the girl doesn't agree. It's really difficult now." As soon as he finished, Zhao Haili poked Li Kai. Li Kai said quickly, "Dad, your second grandson, Dong Hai, graduated from college this year and found a job in the downtown of Jiangnan City. He's not young this year. It's time for him to find a girlfriend. But he can't find a girlfriend without a house in Jiangnan City. Although this child is very capable, he just started working and has no savings. We should pay the down payment. The house price in Jiangnan City is more expensive than in our county. The down payment should be at least 500,000. As soon as he reached there, Li Qingshan snorted coldly. At the end of the day, you're still here to ask me for money. Let me tell you, I've married wives and bought houses for the two of you. I've already fulfilled my responsibilities as a father. As for your sons, you'll have to find a way yourselves. I don't have money. Li Qing said, we also know that you can't afford so much money, but we've inquired about it. We'll move the house here immediately. I have a friend in Tianbao Real Estate. He told me that our house is in a good location and large area. As long as you agree, he will immediately transfer 1 million to our account. With this 1 million, my second son and I will each have 500,000. The problem of your two grandchildren will be solved. Qin Haodong suddenly realized that no wonder these four people were like different people today. It turned out that they came for the old man's house. Li Shulan had been silent. Hearing this, she couldn't listen anymore. She said, this house belongs to Dad and Mom. After moving, you take all the money away. Where do you want them to live? Do you want them to live on the road? Li Qing said, of course not. My second son and I have discussed it. After moving, the three of us will rent a house for Dad and Mom. Anyway, they are only old couple. They don't need too big. 20 or 30 square meters is enough. Li Kai followed and said, yes, Mom and Dad still have a little pension. They have more than 2,000 yuan in total. It's no problem for them to live a basic life. Li Shulan said, you two really have a good plan. Why do you sell Mom and Dad's house, take all the money, and let the three of us rent a house together? Li Qing said, what? You don't want to take some rent? Don't you pretend to be filial? Can't you just take some money for retirement? Li Kai said, I think you are jealous of us inheriting this property. Let me tell you, our surname is Li, and we are the sons of the Li family. You are also an outsider, and the property should always be inherited by the son. There is no such thing as a girl, so you should give up. Zhao Haili said in a strange tone, I was wondering why you and your daughter always stay at the old lady's place. I thought you were really filial. It turns out that you are eyeing this house. But my husband is right. It's useless for you to keep an eye on it. This house is ours. Seeing her own brother say such words, Li Shulan trembled with anger. When did I pretend to be filial? Our parents raised us once. I can't do that kind of heartless thing. I never thought about this house, but I have to support our parents. I don't want to rent a house, but I can take them to our house. Li Shulan's face was full of anger. Chapter 109. What else did Li Kai want to say? Li Qingshan overturned the table and said angrily, that's enough, you two unfilial sons. Let me tell you, this house belongs to my old man, and no one can have any ideas about it. I won't move even if it's 2 million, let alone 1 million. I still want to open a clinic here. Li Kai said, Dad, I don't mean to criticize you, but how much money has this broken clinic made in your whole life? You're so old. Take a rest. Why do you still open it? Li Qing said, yes, Dad. It's your grandson's business. To put it bluntly, it's our Li family's business. Anyway, you should sell the house and help the children buy a house. That's the right thing to do. Li Longji also stood up from the stool and said, well, boss. Now you're eloquent. You can talk like a tongue twister. But today, even if you say something stupid, this house belongs to me and your father. Don't even think about it. Zhang Feng said, Mom, I don't like what you said. We're all family. When you and Dad die in a few years, this house will be ours. It's better to give it to us now than to give it to them at that time. Zhao Haili also said, yes, Dongfang and Donghai are both your grandsons. Shouldn't you give them the house? Li Qingshan said furiously again, now you're saying he's our grandson? Just pat yourself on the chest and think about it. How many times have the two of them called me grandfather, and how many times have they called your mother grandmother? We don't even see them once a year. Now that they need money, they're about to become our grandson. Today, I'm telling you that you have no share in this house now. Even if your mother and I die, you will not have a share. Hearing this, Li Cheng immediately became anxious. He stood up and cried, Dad, are you old and confused? We are your sons. If you don't give the house to us, do you want to give it to the bastard you picked up? Li Cheng also cried, Yes, Dad, I really don't know what you're thinking. At that time, you suddenly picked up a bastard. Our Li family has raised him for so many years. It's enough. Do you really want to give the house to him? Qin Haodong's face instantly became gloomy. He didn't expect that he would be involved in the fight for the real estate. The two of them kept referring to him as a bastard and a wild child, which just happened to be the two words he hated the most. If it were not for the fact that they were the sons of the old man, Li Qingshan, he would have exploded a long time ago. Wang Rubing, who had been silent, saw Qin Haodong's anger. She gently pulled his hand and said, Little brother, don't bother with them. They are elders after all. Qin Haodong breathed a sigh of relief. Over the years, he had been ridiculed and looked down upon by these people in the Li family, but in the end, he had endured it for the sake of his grandparents. However, after hearing what they said, Li Qingshan was furious. Bullsh *t, Haodong is my grandson. If you two don't know how to speak human language, then get out. This family doesn't welcome you. Li Longji also said, since Xiaodong entered our Li family, he is a member of our Li family. If you don't recognize him, then get out. Seeing that the old man and the old lady were angry, Li Cheng and Li Kai did not dare to make trouble with them too much. After all, they still hoped to get the house from the old man. They turned their heads and vented their anger on Qin Haodong. Li Cheng cried, Qin, our Li family has raised you for more than 20 years. We have done our best. Why do you come back? Li Kai said, Are you back to ask for money? Or did you hear that our house is going to be moved? Qian, you come back to take the house? I'll tell you today, it's impossible to take a penny from our Li family. You unfilial son, I'll kill you today. Li Qingshan raised his crutch and was about to rush to Li Cheng and Li Kai. However, the old man was now old and angry. He had just taken 2 steps when he almost fell down. Qin Haodong hurried over to support him. Grandpa, don't be angry. I'll deal with it. Qin Haodong said and helped Li Qingshan to sit on the chair. Then he turned to look at Li Cheng and Li Kai. The Li family has raised me for so many years. Grandpa and Grandma take me as their grandson. My aunt takes me as her son. I always remember this. I come back today not to plot for the old man's property, nor to ask for money. I come back to repay the kindness. Li Cheng said, Repay the kindness? It sounds nice. You just say a few beautiful words and then ask for money from the old man. Li Kai said, If you really want to repay the kindness, then take out the money for our Li family. The rest is nonsense. Zhao Haili said to Li Kai, Are you out of your mind? If it weren't for our Li family, he would have starved to death. How could he get the money? Li Shulan said angrily, What are you talking about? Haodong is still in school. Where do you want him to get the money? Zhang Feng said, Is school a reason? Normally, it's enough for our Li family to raise him until he is 18 years old. We also need to support him to go to college. Others spend 4 years in college, but he spends 5 years in college. How much does it cost? Li Shulan said, What does it have to do with you? Have you ever paid a dime? Zhang Feng said, How does it have nothing to do with me? Spending the old man's money is equal to spending our family's money. Zhao Haili said, Exactly. I think the old man is really confused. He has money for an outsider instead of his own grandson. You. Li Shulan was really angry by these people's shamelessness. She was trembling all over and couldn't say a word. "Aunt, take a rest. You don't have to be angry with these people." Qin Haodong pulled Li Shulan back and handed her to Wang Rubing. He looked back at Li Cheng and Li Kai. These bastards bullied him in the past, but they were also unfilial to the old man and had no sense of affection for his aunt. This kind of people must be punished. And for those who were greedy for money, the biggest punishment was to make them lose their property. "I came back this time to repay my grandparents' kindness, such as giving Grandpa 1 million yuan to renovate this clinic and build it into the best traditional Chinese medicine clinic in Wufeng County." As soon as he finished speaking, the people in front of him burst into laughter as if they had heard the funniest joke in the world. They rocked back and forth with laughter. Li Shulan thought that Qin Haodong was going to take 1 million yuan out of the 3 million yuan that Bai Wenjie compensated, so she didn't feel surprised. She couldn't help but say, "What are you laughing at? What Haodong said is true." Li Cheng laughed enough and said, "Are you kidding me? How can he have money? Only silly women like you will be fooled." Li Kai said, "That's right. He is a wild child who doesn't even want his parents. If it weren't for our Li family, he would have starved to death. How could he take out 1 million yuan?" Qin Haodong's expression didn't change at all. As expected, these two bastards were fooled. He said, "If I can really take out 1 million yuan, what will you say?" Li Cheng said, "Boy, you can only fool silly women and old fools. How can you fool me? As long as you can take out 1 million yuan, I will immediately kowtow to you and admit my mistake." Li Kai followed and said, "Count me in. As long as you can take out the money, I will also kowtow to you and admit my mistake." Qin Haodong's eyes became colder when he saw these two unfilial sons scolding their grandparents and aunt as fools. "I don't want you to kneel down and apologize. How about making a bet? If I take out 1 million yuan now, you will give up the inheritance of this house. Do you dare to bet?" When it came to the inheritance of the house, Li Cheng immediately hesitated. He had been eyeing the old man's house for a long time. How could he be willing to give it up? Li Kai said indifferently, "Brother, you are also in your 50s. How can you be scared by a yellow-haired child? Even if you beat him to death, he can't take out 1 million yuan." Li Cheng thought about it and agreed. They knew Qin Haodong's background very well. How could an orphan who didn't even know who his parents were and a poor student who had to work during holidays get 1 million yuan? However, he still said, "We can bet. There is nothing to be afraid of, but what will you bet with us?" Qin Haodong said, "Aren't you afraid that Grandpa will give me the house? If I lose, not only will I not give up the house, but I will also persuade Grandpa to give it to you immediately." After listening to him, Li Cheng and Li Kai's eyes lit up. What they were most afraid of now was that the house would fall into Qin Haodong's hands. If Qin Haodong promised to give up, he would be confident. Li Kai rolled his eyes and said, "It's still a little unfair to us. It's our Li family's money. If you lose, give us an IOU of 1 million yuan. If you agree, we will bet with you." He knew that Qin Haodong studied medicine. Although he was a little poor now, he would earn a lot of money every year after graduation. If he wrote an IOU now, he would definitely be able to get money in the future. "No problem." Qin Haodong agreed readily. Zhang Feng said, "It's not enough to just talk about such a big thing. You must write it down." Zhao Haili added, "And you must take out the money today. You can't go out to borrow money or get a loan." They tried their best to block Qin Haodong's loopholes. "No problem. Do as you say." Qin Haodong agreed again. Wang Rubing secretly said in his ear, "Little brother, you can't be impulsive. Now the bank is closed. You can't withdraw money even if you want to, and such a large amount of money must be withdrawn in advance. Don't worry, sister. I know what I'm doing." Qin Haodong said. At this time, Li Cheng had already fetched a pen and paper as fast as possible, as if he was afraid that Qin Haodong would go back on his word. He knew that the court would not support the bet, so he wrote it down in the form of an agreement. Do you think it's okay? If you agree, let's sign it. Li Cheng sent the written agreement to Qin Haodong. Qin Haodong looked at it and had to say that the agreement was very well written. It was very strict. As long as both sides signed it, no one could go back on their word. He secretly laughed in his heart. What did it mean to be caught in a trap of one's own making? What did it mean to shoot oneself in the foot? These people would know that they were looking for trouble later. No problem, let's sign it together. The agreement was made in 5 copies. Qin Haodong not only signed it himself, but also asked Li Cheng, Li Kai, Zhang Feng and Zhao Haili to sign it. Taking the agreement in his hand, Li Cheng smiled proudly and then said, "Well, the agreement has been signed. You can take the money." Li Kai said, "Boy, you can deceive old men and old women, but you're too young to deceive us. Now you know what it means to go for wool and fail." Chapter 110. Li Shulan held a bank card in her hand and said, "I can testify for Dong. There's 3 million in this card." Li Cheng looked at her disdainfully and said, "Little sister, you're in your 40s. Why did you learn to cheat? Why don't you say there's 30 million in a card?" "How did I cheat? There's 3 million from Dong in this card." Li Shulan blushed. She tried hard to explain, but Li Cheng waved his hand impatiently and said, "Well, even if there's 3 million in your card, what's the use? We've just written it in the agreement that the 1 million must be in cash. No matter how much money is in the card, it doesn't count." The other 3 nodded. They didn't believe that there was 3 million in Li Shulan's card. They thought she just wanted to help Qin Haodong get away with it. Li Shulan looked at Qin Haodong and whispered anxiously, "Dong, what should we do now?" "Aunt, don't worry. I'm prepared." After saying that, Qin Haodong walked to the door, opened the door, and drove the black Honda that was parked at the door in front of Li Cheng and the others. After getting out of the car, he opened the back door and took out a box of Maotai. Everyone looked at Qin Haodong and didn't know what he was going to do. Zhang Feng sneered and said, "What? You don't mean the money is in this box, do you?" Qin Haodong ignored her. He tore open the box of Maotai and took out a bottle of Maotai. He looked up and said to Li Cheng, "Uncle, Grandpa raised me for so many years. I've always called you that since I was a child. Today is the last time I call you that. Since you don't care about the family relationship with Grandpa, I won't recognize you as an uncle anymore." Li Cheng curled his lips and said with disdain, "Do I care? It's better that there's no relationship between us. From now on, you don't know me, and I don't know you. That's the best. Let's end it today." Qin Haodong raised the Maotai in his hand and said, "Although I've been an outsider in your eyes since I was a child and you've been sneering at me, I've prepared a gift for you this time for the sake of Grandpa. I know you love to drink. You should recognize this, right? It's a 15-year bottle of Maotai, priced at 7,680 yuan per bottle. This box of wine was originally meant for you, but now it seems like there's no need for it at all." After that, he raised the bottle in his hand and smashed it hard on the ground. With a crisp sound, the Maotai was smashed into pieces. The liquor splashed everywhere, and a strong aroma of wine drilled into everyone's nostrils. Then, he picked up the remaining 5 bottles of wine and smashed them on the ground one by one. With the shattering of these bottles, it also marked that he no longer had any relationship with Li Cheng. This. Li Cheng didn't expect that Qin Haodong would bring him such expensive Maotai, and he didn't expect it to be smashed into pieces in the blink of an eye. Seeing the good wine flowing on the ground, he was so distressed that he stamped his feet and wanted to lie on the ground. Lick. Everyone else was stunned. No one had expected that Qin Haodong would be so straightforward. A bottle of Maotai was worth more than 7,000 yuan, and 6 bottles added up to nearly 50,000 yuan. How could he just throw it away like that? Zhang Feng said, "Honey, don't believe him. I don't believe that a poor boy like him would spend 40,000 or 50,000 yuan to buy you wine. This must be fake wine to cheat you." Li Qing grinned and didn't speak. He knew very well whether the wine was real or fake. He loved drinking the most in his life. Although he had never drunk such a good Maotai, he could smell from the strong aroma of the wine that it was definitely the real Maotai. After finishing the box of Maotai, Qin Haodong turned his hand and took a box of cigarettes from the back seat of the car. He looked up and said to Li Kai, "Second uncle, this is also the last time I call you that. I know you like smoking, so I brought you a box of Chunghua cigarettes this time. These cigarettes cost 1,000 yuan each, and 50 cartons cost 50,000 yuan in total. Now let's make an end of it." After that, he took out a lighter and directly lit the box of Chunghua cigarettes. Then a raging fire ignited, and the box of cigarettes worth 50,000 yuan was burned. The aroma of Chunghua cigarettes and the aroma of Maotai just now mixed together, filling the whole courtyard. Li Kai was dumbfounded. Whether it was a whole box of Chunghua cigarettes or 50,000 yuan, it was enough to make him feel distressed. Li Shulan believed Qin Haodong's words. Seeing that 100,000 yuan was burned in the blink of an eye, she felt distressed and said, "Dong, it's not worth it." Qin Haodong smiled indifferently and said, "Anyway, I have called them uncles for so many years. 100,000 yuan is nothing to make an end of it." After that, he took out 2 bags with LV logo from the back seat of the car and said to Zhang Feng and Zhao Haili, "These years, you two have called me a bastard in front of and behind my back. But after all, you are the daughters-in-law of the Li family. This time I also prepared a gift. These 2 are genuine LV bags, 20,000 yuan each. Now I don't need them at all." Zhang Feng usually liked shopping in luxury stores. Although she couldn't afford it, it was good to have a look. At this time, she recognized that these 2 were genuine LV bags at a glance. She quickly said, "Dong, since you bought it, give it to us. Don't waste it." "Give it to you?" Qin Haodong smiled coldly and said, "Women like you who are mean, don't know filial piety, and only have money in their eyes, might as well burn them." After that, he shook his hand and the 2 bags fell into the fire of the Chunghua cigarettes. Soon they were burned into a pile of coke. Zhang Feng and Zhao Haili were so distressed that they couldn't wait to rush into the fire and fish out the 2 bags. At this time, there was a faint regret in their hearts. They didn't know how Qin Haodong had so much money and why he bought such good gifts for them. But it was too late to regret now. Qin Haodong took out 2 of the latest fruit mobile phones and waved them in front of Li Cheng and Li Kai. "And my 2 cousins, although they bullied me, beat me and scolded me since I was a child, I still prepared 2 mobile phones for them. Let's burn them too." Soon, the 2 mobile phones also fell into the fire. Li Cheng licked his dry lips, swallowed his saliva and said, "Qin Haodong, what do you mean? Are you showing off to us?" Qin Haodong smiled disdainfully and said, "It's not showing off, and I don't need to show off to you. I've already said that it's just an end. From now on, we have nothing to do with each other." Li Kai said, "It's useless to do these things. Who are you fooling with a bunch of fake things?" Although he was very clear in his heart that these things that Qin Haodong took out were absolutely not fake, he had to say so against his conscience for the sake of his face. "Fake, right? Why don't you check if this is fake?" After that, Qin Haodong opened the trunk of the Honda and took out 3 suitcases. He put them on the ground and opened them one by one. They were all colorful Huaxia currency. Last time he sold a Schwanda sensor on the antique street, he got 30 million from Guofeng. Later, for convenience, he exchanged 5 million in cash and put it in the storage ring. Just now, he just took out 3 million under the cover of the trunk. He opened a suitcase and said, "Grandpa and Grandma took care of me as their own since I was a child. I've always remembered it. This time I came back to renovate the clinic for them, so I prepared 1 million for them. Li Cheng and Li Kai were completely dumbfounded. They never dreamed that Qin Haodong could easily take out 1 million in cash. If that was the case, according to the agreement they had just signed, they would lose the right to inherit the old man's property. Li Shulan and Wang Rubing were also surprised, but soon they were surprised. They had always regarded Qin Haodong as the closest person. Naturally, they would be happy when their relatives were rich. It's impossible. It's impossible. How can a poor boy like you have so much money? Li Cheng said like crazy. He rushed over and grabbed the suitcase, took out the Huaxia currency from it, and checked it stack by stack. Soon, he sat on the ground dejectedly. The money was as real as the cigarettes and wine just now. There was no fake at all. Qin Haodong ignored them and sent the other 2 suitcases to Li Shulan and Wang Rubing respectively. Aunt, sister, I will remember your kindness to me these years. Take the money. It's a token of my appreciation. No, Dong, you can't take the money from me and your sister. Li Shulan quickly pushed the 2 suitcases back and said, you haven't married yet. There will be a lot of money in the future. You can keep the money to buy a suite in Jiangnan. Qin Haodong said, Aunt, you and sister can take it. I still have money and a house. Li Shulan's face changed and asked, Dong, tell me the truth. Where did the money come from? I tell you, no matter how poor we are, we can't do illegal things, and we can't go against our conscience. Aunt, what are you talking about? Don't you believe me? This money was definitely obtained in a clean and above-board manner. Qin Haodong put the 2 suitcases into Li Shulan's arms and said, you and sister must take the money, or you will treat me as an outsider. Seeing Qin Haodong's solemn words, Li Shulan said, well, I will keep the money for you. You can ask me for money when you need it. Don't save it. You can spend it if you need it. I have more. Qin Haodong said and turned to look at Li Cheng and others, how about it? Did you see it clearly? Is it 1 million? Li Cheng said with a flattering face, Dong, it is indeed 1 million, but I was just joking with you. We are a family. How can we bet with this thing? Li Kai smiled like a chrysanthemum and said, yes, we are a family. How can we bet? It's just a joke. After that, the 2 of them threw the agreement in their hands into the fire. Zhang Feng and Zhao Haili also quickly took out the agreement in their pockets and threw it into the fire. Dong, I have long seen that you are promising. Please forgive me if I have wronged you before. Yes, Dong, if I have wronged you, just tell me. I promise I will change it immediately. Joke? Why didn't I see it? Qin Haodong sneered and took out the agreement on his body. This is signed by the 4 of you. It's legally binding wherever you take it. Now you can all go back. My grandfather's house has nothing to do with you anymore. Xiaodong, I told you that we are a family. We can discuss about the house. Li Qing came to Qin Haodong with a charming smile and said, Dong, you are rich now. Your cousin is in urgent need of money for his wedding. Can you lend me 500,000? Chapter 111. Borrow money? Qin Haodong sneered and said, we've just made a clean break. From now on, we have nothing to do with each other. Since you're strangers, why should I lend you money? Li Qing said with a flattering face, Dong, I've already told you that it was just a joke. You can't take it seriously. We're still a family. You lost the bet. Now that I have some money, we're a family again? Qin Haodong looked at them with disgust and said, Grandpa has been kind and upright all his life. He has saved countless people. I really don't know how he gave birth to you 2 shameless things. Today, I'm telling you to give up. Although I have a lot of money, I won't lend it to you even if I have to burn it. Looking at Qin Haodong's firm expression, Li Qing realized that this young man couldn't be coaxed with a few words. It was impossible to borrow money. Since he couldn't get the money, there was no need for him to be humble. The smile on his face immediately disappeared. He pointed at Qin Haodong and scolded, "Little bastard, don't think you're great just because you have some money. I don't care how much money you have." Li Kai also scolded, "Yes, little bastard, you're a jinx. You've messed up our family like this. There's no way for you to occupy our property." While they were scolding happily, they suddenly felt a pain on their faces. After a series of banging sounds, they flew out. Li Qing got up from the ground and couldn't believe what had happened in front of him. Qin Haodong had been respectful to them since he was a child. He didn't expect that he would hit them today. He covered his swollen cheek, pointed at Qin Haodong again and scolded, "Little bastard, how dare you hit me?" Before he finished speaking, Qin Haodong grabbed his collar and slapped him several times. Then he reached into his pocket and took out 3 or 4 stacks of 100 yuan bills and threw them back into the suitcase. Li Cheng had just secretly put the money into his pocket and thought that no one had seen it. In fact, it had been clearly seen by Qin Haodong. Li Kai got up from the ground. He wanted to curse a few words, but when he saw Li Cheng's fate and Qin Haodong's cold eyes, he was so scared that he swallowed his words and didn't dare to say anything. Qin Haodong said in a cold voice, "I didn't have parents since I was a child, but not everyone can call me a bastard. I put up with you before because you are my uncle and second uncle. But now we have drawn a line, and I don't have to put up with you anymore. If any of you dare to scold me again, you will end up like this table." After Qin Haodong finished speaking, he raised his hand and slapped a table next to him. The solid wooden square table was like a piece of paper under his hand. With a crash, it broke into pieces on the ground. Li Cheng looked at Li Kai and then at his wife, Zhang Feng. Everyone's eyes were filled with horror. No one had expected that Qin Haodong, who used to be respectful to them, would be so strong and cruel after breaking up with them. "Throw all the money in your pockets back to me. Don't wait for me to make a move. Then get out and don't let me see you again." Qin Haodong took a few steps forward in succession, and his body emitted a strong momentum to cover the 4 people in front of him. Although Li Cheng and others were rascals, they were just ordinary people. They had never seen such a momentum. They were so scared that they almost peed their pants. They took out the money hidden in their pockets and threw it back into the suitcase. Then they ran out of the yard in embarrassment. Just now, Qin Haodong was angry at the shamelessness of these people, and for a moment, he vented his long-suppressed emotions. When Li Cheng and the others ran out, he realized that after all, Qin Haodong was his grandpa's son. Had he gone too far? He couldn't help looking back at Li Qingshan and Zuolangji. Li Qingshan saw his mind and said, "Little Dong, you taught them a good lesson. I wanted to teach them a lesson for a long time. Today you helped Grandpa." Zuolangji said, "Yes, Little Dong, you beat them too lightly. You should break the legs of these 2 beasts." What the old couple said was not a lie. These years, they had been completely disappointed with these 2 unfilial sons, and they were annoyed by them. Now seeing Qin Haodong help them solve the future trouble at one time, they were too happy. Only Li Shulan sighed, but she didn't say anything. Zuolangji said again, "Little Dong, you can use the money to annoy those bastards. Take it back quickly. With the money, you can buy a house in Jiangnan City. You will be more confident when you go on a blind date tomorrow." Li Qingshan also said, "Shulan, take the money back to Little Dong. We have been ashamed of his parents because we couldn't help him get married and buy a house. We can't take his money." When Li Shulan was about to take the 3 suitcases with 1 million yuan, she was stopped by Qin Haodong. He said to the old couple, "Grandpa, Grandma, I earned this money to show my filial piety to you. Why do you return it to me? Do you still treat me as an outsider?" Li Qingshan said, "But, no buts." Qin Haodong immediately interrupted Li Qingshan, "Grandpa, I still have a lot of money, enough for my own use. You must accept the money." Li Qingshan wanted to say something, but Zuolangji said, Forget it, old man. Since it's our grandson's filial piety to us, we'll keep it. Li Qingshan thought about it and nodded. He didn't object anymore. At this time, Qin Haodong's cell phone rang. He picked up the phone and glanced at it. It was Shi Kuai, the director of the Public Security Department. He walked to the side and pressed the answer button. Director Shi, what's the matter? Shi Kuai said, Dr. Qin, thank you so much last time. You not only cured my illness, but also cured one. Qin Haodong said, you're welcome. I'm a doctor. It's my duty to save people. He knew that Shi Kuai called him not just to thank him. As expected, Shi Kuai said, Dr. Qin, I called you today not only to express my gratitude, but also to ask you to do it again. I have a good comrade who was injured in the army. His leg bone was broken into 3 pieces. Later, although it was connected, he always hurt badly. He went to a lot of hospitals, but it didn't work. Recently, it became more and more serious, and it began to affect his walking. He heard from me that Dr. Qin's medical skills were superb, so he wanted to ask you to have a look at him. Qin Haodong was not surprised about this. Shi Kuai's spine was definitely a difficult disease. He had been seeking medical treatment everywhere for many years, but it didn't work. Now that he was cured by Qin Haodong, it would bring a great advertising effect. There would definitely be people seeking medical treatment through his channel. He said, yes, but I don't have time now. I have to wait for a few days. Shi Kuai said, Dr. Qin, can you treat him as soon as possible? It'd better be today. Qin Haodong frowned. Although Shi Kuai was the director of the Public Security Department, he was no different from ordinary patients in his eyes. As for the person who asked for medical treatment, it was just a leg pain. It was not a fatal disease. After so many years, it shouldn't be a big deal to wait for a few days. He said, is it that urgent? Hearing Qin Haodong's displeasure, Shi Kuai hurriedly explained, Dr. Qin, to tell you the truth, my comrade is Li Changji, the secretary of the Discipline Inspection Commission of Jiangnan City. He is very upright and effective. The mayor of Jiangnan City just retired a few days ago. Now the position of mayor is still vacant. The organization has listed Li Changji as a key subject of investigation. They will send someone to talk to him soon. You know, it's important to inspect the health of cadres. If he goes to the talk with a lame leg, it will inevitably affect the impression of the leaders. So they are in a hurry to ask you to treat him. It seemed that his explanation was not enough. After a pause, he said, Dr. Qin, I may not know others, but I know my comrade very well. He is very capable. Most importantly, he is honest and clean. If he can take over the position of mayor, it will be a good thing for all the citizens of Jiangnan City. So you must help him. Oh. That's it. Qin Haodong's frowning brows relaxed, and his tone eased a lot. Well, I just returned to my hometown in Wufeng County at noon. If it's really that urgent, let him come over and I'll treat him. Shi Kuai said happily, that's great, Dr. Qin. Thank you so much. Wufeng County is not too far away. We'll go there now. It's estimated that we can arrive in Wufeng County in more than an hour. After the treatment, let's have a good drink. After hanging up the phone, Qin Haodong and Wang Rubing put the 3 suitcases into the safe of the clinic. After all, it was 3 million yuan. If it was seen by others, it would bring unnecessary trouble or even disaster to the Li family. As soon as they put the money in the safe, they suddenly heard a noise outside, shouting and the roar of the motor. Li Qingshan, hurry up and come out. I'll tear down your house if you're late. The shouts of a loudspeaker rang through the whole old street. Qin Haodong went outside and saw Li Qingshan and Zuolanji standing at the door with the help of Li Shulan. Opposite the TCM clinic, there were about 100 or 200 people standing majestically. About half of these people were workers, and the other half were dressed in colorful gangster outfits. In front of them were 2 huge excavators. It seemed that they were here to demolish the house. In front of the excavator stood a short fat man with slick back hair, and next to him was a skinny assistant with parted hair. Li Qingshan went to the door and shouted to the short fat man with slicked back hair, "Hong Tianbao, what are you doing here? I've said that I won't move unless you build a new clinic for me. You have to be reasonable when you demolish. First of all, you have to make sure that I can treat my neighbors." Hong Tianbao said, "Old Li, are you crazy because of poverty? We only care about demolishing and making money. What does it have to do with us whether you can treat people or not? Today, I'm telling you for the last time. Sign the demolition agreement, and I'll give you 100,000 yuan immediately. If you say no again, I'll tear down your house immediately. You won't get a dime." The skinny assistant next to him whispered, "Didn't the boss say 1 million? Are you sure you're not mistaken?" Hong Tianbao smiled and said, 1 million was yesterday. Now only 100,000 yuan. If he doesn't agree, I'll tear down his house. Oh. Got it, boss. The assistant naturally didn't know that today was a plan made by Hong Tianbao and Fu Haiken. They wanted to provoke Qin Haodong and then arrest him. As long as Qin Haodong was arrested and put in prison, he believed that Li Qingshan could immediately sign the demolition agreement. He would not pay more if he could save 1 million yuan. At this time, the neighbors of the old street heard the news and gathered around, standing behind Li Qingshan. Hearing that Hong Tianbao only gave 100,000 yuan for the demolition fee, everyone immediately angrily condemned. This Hong Tianbao is so black-hearted. Such a big yard only gives 100,000 yuan. Isn't this robbery, bastard? This is not a developer, it's a bandit. With so little money, we can't move. Chapter 112. Li Qingshan said, "I've already told you clearly that I don't want money. I just want you to build a new clinic for me." Hong Tianbao said, "Old man, you're really old and muddle-headed. You dare to say anything. It seems that you refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. I'll tear down your house today and see what you can do. How dare you?" Li Qingshan was so angry by Hong Tianbao's rascal that his beard twitched. He said angrily, "If you want to tear down my house, you have to step over my dead body today." The neighbors behind him also shouted, "As long as we are here, don't even think about touching our house. Don't even think about touching Mr. Li." After that, the residents of the old street automatically moved forward and formed a circle, protecting Mr. Li in the middle. You won't shed a tear until you see the coffin." Hong Tianbao sneered and waved his hand behind him. "Teach these unruly people a lesson." After receiving the master's order, these gangsters immediately took out the steel pipes and iron bars that had been prepared and rushed to the villagers in front of them. Although the number of villagers was a little more than the gangsters, there were about 300 or 400 people. However, they were some women and the elderly and children left behind. They were unarmed. How could they be the opponents of these young and strong gangsters? As soon as the two sides touched, only 7 or 8 young and strong people were knocked down to the ground. Although the villagers were extremely angry at Hong Tianbao's robbing behavior, they were just ordinary people. They were usually well behaved, and some of them had never fought with anyone in their entire lives. How could they have ever seen such a situation? They immediately scattered in all directions and hid in their own homes. Looking at the villagers who were beaten away, Hong Tianbao smiled proudly and raised his hand to point to Li Qingshan. "Teach this ungrateful old man a lesson." Soon as his voice fell, 7 or 8 gangsters rushed to Li Qingshan with iron bars and steel pipes. The leading gangster with yellow hair raised the iron bar in his hand and smashed it to Li Qingshan's head. Li Shulan was just behind Li Qingshan. They didn't expect that these gangsters really dared to fight with the old man. It was too late to stop them. They saw the yellow-haired gangster's iron stick was about to hit Li Qingshan's head. At the critical moment, a big hand stretched out and grabbed the punk's wrist. Then, with a crack, the punk's forearm was broken into 2. The yellow-haired gangster let out a heart-wrenching scream. But before he could see what was going on, he felt a sharp pain in his lower abdomen. His whole body seemed to be hit by a cannonball. He flew 7 or 8 meters away and fell heavily to the ground. Of course, it was Qin Haodong who rushed over. He held Li Qingshan's arm and said, "Grandpa, are you okay?" "I'm fine. I'm not afraid of these bastards. If you have the ability, then beat me to death." Old Master Li Qingshan had been upright all his life. He looked at Hong Tianbao with fire in his eyes. "Grandpa, don't worry. It's them who will die. They can't touch our house as long as I'm here." Qin Haodong handed the old man to Wang Rubing behind him and turned to look at Hong Tianbao. Hong Tianbao was secretly proud. It seemed that his plan had really succeeded. He shouted to the gangsters, "What the hell are you standing there for? Are you waiting to eat sh*t? Get your weapons together and teach this guy a lesson." The gangsters had just been frightened by Qin Haodong's skills. Now they came to their senses. Relying on their numbers, they roared and rushed to Qin Haodong together. Qin Haodong would not show mercy to these gangsters who bullied the villagers. He rushed into the crowd and punched and kicked them. Immediately afterward, these hooligans let out miserable howls and were all sent flying. Each and every one of them had their arms and legs broken. They were seriously injured. Good. Well done. These bastards, let them bully us. Seeing Qin Haodong beat these gangsters, old Master Li Qingshan felt very happy. The nearby commoners who were watching from afar also cheered loudly. They already hated these hooligans to the core. Clap, clap, clap. Unexpectedly, Hong Tianbao also applauded. He walked a few steps to Qin Haodong and said with a sinister smile, "Boy, you are good at martial arts. It's useless to only know a few moves. The most important thing to do is to have a brain. This is a society governed by law. You've hurt so many of my people. Just wait to eat in prison." Soon as he finished speaking, a siren sounded. 4 police cars quickly drove to this side. More than a dozen policemen jumped out of the cars and quickly surrounded Qin Haodong. The leader was the director of the police station, Zhang Meng. As Fu Haiken's #1 henchman, he was naturally in charge of this kind of thing. Zhang Meng was also an experienced man. He still had to do some superficial work. He pretended to ask, "What's going on? Why are so many people injured?" Fong Tianbao said, "Director Zhang, I originally came with my staff to persuade the villagers to move today. Who knew that this guy rushed over and started beating people? He hurt more than a dozen of my people. Look at how badly they are injured. Their arms and legs are broken. They are all people with families and businesses. They have parents and children. You must uphold justice for my employees," Wang Rubing said angrily. "Nonsense. It's your men who beat us first and hurt more than a dozen of our villagers. How can you complain first?" Li Shulan also cried. "Yes, Hong Tianbao, why are you lying? Don't you have any shame?" Qin Haodong didn't say a word. He had more than 500 years of experience. From the moment Zhang Meng appeared, he already knew that this was a trap set for him. It was obvious that Hong Tianbao and Zhang Meng were in cahoots. Sure enough, Zhang Meng said with a sullen face, "You are all his family members. Of course, you are on his side. Boss Hong, so many of your employees are injured. They are right here, but I don't see any injured villagers. It's very clear that Qin Haodong hurt people maliciously." Then he waved to the policeman behind him and said, "Take the murderer back to the police station." No, you can't be reasonable," Wang Rubing said and stretched out her hands in front of Qin Haodong. That's right. Whoever wants to arrest my grandson, arrest my old lady first," Zuolongji said and stood in front of the policeman, trembling. Zhang Meng said, "Old lady, little girl, the fact is that Qin Haodong hurt more than a dozen people. Don't interfere with my normal law enforcement, or I will arrest you together." Arrest me together. I'm not afraid. As soon as Wang Rubing finished, she was pulled behind by Qin Haodong. Sister, you don't have to worry about this. I can handle it myself. He turned to Zhuolangji and said, Grandma, don't worry. I'll go to the police station to make things clear. I'll be back soon. I'll go on a blind date with you tomorrow. Are you sure you didn't lie to me? The old lady said with some doubts. Of course not. When have I ever lied to you since I was a child? Zhuolangji thought for a moment. Qin Haodong really didn't lie to her, so she didn't stop him. Zhangmeng and Hong Tianbao sneered secretly. They thought to themselves, if you want to come back for a blind date, you will stay in prison for 8 or 10 years. After comforting the old lady in Wang Rubing, Qin Haodong looked at Zhang Meng and said, Director Zhang, I advise you to think clearly when you do things. Otherwise, you can't afford the consequences if you do something wrong. Zhang Meng sneered and said, Well, I'd like to see what I can't afford. He shouted to the 2 policemen next to him, cuff him up and take him away. Qin Haodong didn't say anything. Since Zhang Meng wanted to die, he would send him on his way. He turned to Wang Rubing and said, 2 friends will come to me later. When they come, just tell them the truth. Wang Rubing nodded. Although she didn't know who Qin Haodong's friends were, her brother had brought her too many surprises since he came back. She didn't hesitate to do what Qin Haodong said. This time, the 2 policemen had handcuffed Qin Haodong. Zhang Meng waved his hand and took Qin Haodong to the police car. He didn't take Qin Haodong into the police station. Instead, he took him directly to the interrogation room of the criminal squad of the County Public Security Bureau, because Fu Haiken was waiting there. After Qin Haodong left, Hong Tianbao strode to Li Qingshan and said with a sneer, Old man, your grandson has been arrested. Let's see how you fight against me this time. Zhuolangji said, Little bastard, don't be proud. My Xiaodong is just going to make it clear. He will be back soon. Back? Hong Tianbao laughed arrogantly. After laughing enough, he said, To tell you the truth, your grandson won't be able to come back for 8 to 10 years. He hurts so many of my people. Even if he is sentenced to 1 year, he will stay in prison for more than 10 years. Besides, I have a lot of friends in prison. I will take special care of him. It's hard to say whether he can come out alive. Zhuolangji was stunned for a moment and then said, You're talking nonsense. My grandson told me that he will go on a blind date with me tomorrow. Fong Tianbao laughed and said, You're really an old fool. Can't you see that he's lying to you? No matter how powerful he is, can he be more powerful than a policeman's gun? So he can only be obedient. According to my original plan, as long as someone tries to stop me, I will arrest them together. I didn't expect that this guy has some brains. He even bluffed you with a few words. You got a big bargain. This. Zhuolangji wanted to say something to refute, but she couldn't find a reason for a moment. At this time, she realized that maybe as Hong Tianbao said, Qin Haodong couldn't come out after going in. Li Shulan was a teacher, so she knew something about the law. She had already believed most of Hong Tianbao's words. She said, Hong, what do you want? Don't you know what I want? I, Hong Tianbao, am a businessman, and businessmen want to make money. But now, your family is blocking my way to make money. I have already taken over the renovation project of the old street. If you delay it for a day, I will have to pay for a day's loss. If your old man doesn't move, others won't move, so I can't make money. If you want to save that guy, I can show you the way. Sign the moving agreement immediately. Director Fu of the County Public Security Bureau is my good brother. As long as I tell him, he can release Qin Haodong. Otherwise, you can wait to see him in prison. Wang Rubing said angrily. Is this all your plan? Fong Tianbao said with a smile, kind of. You are blocking my way to make money. If I don't find a way to deal with you, how can I live in Wufeng County? Li Shulan didn't say anything. She turned her head to look at Li Qingshan. Of course, this kind of thing could be decided by the old man. Li Qingshan was silent for a moment and finally said, Give it to me. I will sign it. But you have to promise that my grandson will come back tonight. Fong Tianbao was overjoyed. It seemed that his method really worked. As long as Li Qingshan's family moved away, there would be no more obstacles to the relocation of the old street. He waved his hand, and the skinny assistant next to him took a moving agreement and sent it to Li Qingshan. Li Qingshan took the agreement and looked at it. Then he said angrily, "You only give me 50,000 yuan for such a big yard, P." Chapter 113. Li Shulan glanced at the number on the contract and cried, "Didn't you just say 100,000? 1 million is yesterday's price, 100,000 is just now, and 50,000 is now. And it will only last for 5 minutes. If you don't sign the contract within 5 minutes, there will only be 30,000. Hong Tianbao said with a treacherous face, "I'm telling you, there's not much time. If Qin Haodong is sent to prison, you can't save him even if you give him 1 million. Don't hesitate. I've already found out that he's still a college student. He's likely to become a doctor in the future. Think about how much money a doctor can earn in a year. Don't ruin his life because of this small profit. It'll be too late for regrets." Li Shulan glanced at Hong Tianbao again and said, "But what if you still don't let Dong go after we sign the agreement?" Hong Tianbao said, "I'm also a gangster. Credibility is the most important thing. Since I said it, I will do it. And now the situation is right here, you have no other choice. If you don't believe me, you cannot sign the agreement. In that case, Qin Haodong really has no hope at all." Li Qingshan didn't hesitate anymore. He directly took the pen, signed his name on the agreement, and then pressed his fingerprint. "I hope you can keep your word and let my grandson out." Hong Tianbao took the agreement and looked at it. He put it in his pocket like a treasure and said with a sinister smile, "Don't worry, I won't let you down." Then he waved his hand and left with his people. The skinny assistant whispered in his ear, "Boss, are we really going to help to let that guy out?" Fong Tianbao scolded, "Are you fucking crazy? We've got the agreement. Why do we still do that stupid thing? And this guy is very important. He offended the director of the Public Security Bureau, Fu Haiken. It's impossible for him to get out." The skinny assistant quickly said with a flattering face, "I know, boss. You're so smart. You only spent 50,000 to get the agreement." In the Li family, Li Qingshan and his wife returned to their room dejectedly. Li Shulan asked, "Dad, what if they really don't let Dong go after signing the agreement?" Li Qingshan sighed and said, "Hong is right. Do we have any other choice? We can't just watch Lil Dong go to jail and do nothing." Wang Rubing said, "Grandpa, I think we've been fooled by Hong. My brother is fine at all." Li Shulan said, "Children talk nonsense. As soon as Dong came back, he cleaned up by Wenjia and offended the director of the Public Security Bureau. Now he has hurt so many people. How could he be fine?" Wang Rubing said, "I don't know exactly. Anyway, I feel that if my brother says he's fine, then he's fine." While they were talking, 2 black Audi A6s stopped in front of the door. 4 or 5 people got out of the cars, led by 2 middle-aged men in their 50s. One was wearing a police uniform and had a straight figure, and the other was wearing a jacket. His right leg was a little limp when he walked, but it did not affect His Majesty at all. They were Shirquahai, the head of the Public Security Department of Jiangnan Province, and Li Changji, the secretary of the Commission for Discipline Inspection of Jiangnan City. They found this place according to the location sent by Qin Haodong. Shirquahai didn't see Qin Haodong after he entered the door. He asked politely, "Is this Dr. Qin Haodong's home?" Bai Rubing immediately saw that these 2 people were unusual. She greeted them according to Qin Haodong's instructions and said, "Are you my brother's friends?" Shirquahai said, "Yes, we are Dr. Qin's friends." Bai Rubing was happy and said, "My brother was taken away by the police. What? Taken away by the police? Shi Kuai was surprised and asked, "What the hell is going on?" Bai Rubing was eloquent. She quickly told Shi Kuai what had just happened and what happened this afternoon. Then she said, "My brother asked me to tell you all this before he left. You are his friends. Can you save my brother?" Shi Kuai and Li Changji's faces were gloomy and scary. They didn't expect that such a lawless thing would happen in Wufeng County. As the head of the Public Security Department and the Secretary of the Commission for Discipline Inspection of Jiangnan City, it made them feel ashamed. Shi Kuai said, "Don't worry. Leave Dr. Qin to us. We will give you a satisfactory result." Then he said to Li Changji, "Old Li, let's go to the police station now. It's not enough for us to go alone." Li Changji said, "There are a lot of people involved in this matter. I will call the head of Wufeng County now and ask him and the Secretary of the Commission for Discipline Inspection to come here together. No matter who is involved, we must investigate it to the end." Shi Kuai thought about it and felt that what Li Changji said made sense. Their positions were too high, so it was not convenient for them to intervene directly. They left the Li family together. Li Changji called the head of the county, Zhao Yang, and the Secretary of the Commission for Discipline Inspection, Yu Shujiang, and asked them to gather in front of the clinic immediately. Zhao Yang and Yu Shujiang were shocked and they received the call. They didn't know what happened. Li Changji had always been known for his fairness and iron fist. It was said that he was going to take over as the mayor of Jiangnan City. It was not a small thing that he called in person. No matter what they thought, they didn't dare to delay. After receiving the call, they immediately rushed to the door of Jishe Traditional Chinese Medicine Clinic. After getting out of the car, when they saw Shi Kuai and Li Changji standing side by side at the door, they couldn't help but feel shocked. These two great masters, one was a real director-level cadre, and the other was going to be promoted to the director level. It must be a big thing that could alarm these two people together. "Director Shi, Secretary Li, we're here. Please give us instructions." Shi Kuai looked at them but didn't say anything. Although he had a high rank, he was not their supervisor after all. It was best to let Li Changji deal with this matter. Li Changji said coldly, "Head of the county, Secretary Yu, let me ask you. Is Wufeng County still under the control of the Huaxia government? Is there any law?" Zhao Yang and Yu Shujiang couldn't help but shiver. It was such a big hat. They didn't know what made Secretary Li so angry. "Secretary Li, if there is anything wrong with our work, please criticize and correct us," Zhao Yang said. A mine manager, because he gave birth to 3 daughters in a row, went to an old Chinese medicine doctor to ask for the secret of giving birth to a son. The doctor refused, so he asked his hooligans to smash the whole clinic. And the police didn't care about all this, just because his brother-in-law is the director of the Public Security Bureau. Zhao Yang and Yu Shujiang looked at each other, and then they knew that it had something to do with Fu Haiken. At the same time, they cursed 18 generations of his ancestors in their hearts. How could he cause such a big trouble for them? That's not all. The real estate developer Hong Tianbao in your county wanted to develop this street. The Chinese medicine clinic was originally a commercial network on the street, and he asked the developer to build another Chinese medicine clinic. This condition is not high, is it? But the developer named Hong Tianbao not only didn't agree, but also hired some hooligans to do the forced demolition. As a result, the hooligans who beat people were ignored, and Dr. Qin, who upheld justice, was arrested by the police station. What kind of reason is this? Which law is enforced? Speaking of this, Li Changji's voice became stern. He pointed back to the Chinese medicine clinic and said, "In the end, the Chinese medicine clinic was forced to sign a demolition agreement for 50,000 yuan. Such a big yard, would you sell it for 50,000 yuan? Zhao Yang and Yu Shujiang were also experienced in officialdom. Hearing this, they immediately understood the key of the problem. Although the things Li Changji said were really very serious, the most important thing was Dr. Qin. Who on earth was this Dr. Qin? How could he invite these two great Buddhas? This made them very confused. Zhao Yang said, Director Shi, Secretary Li, this kind of lawless thing happened in our Wufeng County. As a local official, I really have an unshirkable responsibility. Secretary Yu and I will go back and investigate it. We must find out the truth. Shi Kuai said, don't go back. Now Dr. Qin is still in the police station. Let's go and see what's going on. Zhao Yang thought to himself, as expected, the problem is still Dr. Qin. I really don't know who he is. But one thing is sure, Fu Haiken and Hong Tianbao will be in big trouble this time. After they finished talking, they turned around and were about to get in the car. At this time, someone behind them said, Can I go with you? Wang Rubing just felt that Shi Kuai and Li Changji were not ordinary people. After they went out, she had been secretly watching them in the house. Then she was surprised to find that the county magistrate Zhao Yang was very respectful to these two people. It could be seen that they were big shots. Although she didn't know how her brother made such friends, she cared about Qin Haodong. So when she heard that Shi Kuai was going to the police station, she ran out. Shi Kuai looked back and found it was Qin Haodong's sister. He directly agreed, get in the car. Zhang Meng sent Qin Haodong to the Municipal Public Security Bureau and then returned to the police station happily. In his view, no matter what, he had done a great service for Fu Haiken. Now there was a vacancy of the deputy director of the County Public Security Bureau. As long as he could satisfy Fu Haiken, he had already sat on the position of deputy director. Not only this, he had done such a big favor for Hong Tianbao. There must be a lot of benefits for him. At least he could get a suite. It was ridiculous that the toy boy even threatened him and said that he would regret it. How could he regret such a great thing that could make him promoted and rich? When he was daydreaming, a young policeman rushed in and said breathlessly, Director, there are a few people downstairs and they want to see you. Zhang Meng said impatiently, Don't panic. Don't you see it's time to get off work? Tell them to come tomorrow if they have something to do. The young policeman said, Director, one of them is Director Shi of the Public Security Department, the other is Magistrate Zhao of our county, and I don't know the other two. No matter who they are, tell them to get out. Don't you know it's time to get off work? Zhang Meng suddenly realized something and jumped up from the chair. He asked nervously, Who are you talking about? Who are they? Director Shi, Magistrate Zhao, and I don't know the other two, but they seem to be big leaders. Before the young policeman finished speaking, Zhang Meng ran to the door in a hurry. At this time, his heart was already in his throat. So many big leaders came to his small police station. Did it have something to do with that guy? But then he thought it was unlikely. He knew the background of the traditional Chinese medicine clinic very well. How could he know the county magistrate and the director of the public security department? Chapter 114. Hello, leaders. Welcome to our police station for guidance. Zhang Meng smiled like a dog's tail flower and saluted to Shi Kuai and the other three people one by one. Director Zhang is so good at work. I dare not guide you. Shi Kuai said in a cold voice, You arrested Dr. Qin. Give me a reason. Dr. Qin? Zhang Meng heard the dissatisfaction in Shi Kuai's tone. He was so nervous that he realized that Dr. Qin was Qin Haodong. He tried to explain, Director, when we went out, we found that Dr. Qin injured more than a dozen people. Those people were all seriously injured. That's why I ordered to arrest him. Shi Kuai said in a cold voice, You arrested him for beating people? Have you ever investigated whether Dr. Qin was acting in self-defense? And those gangsters injured so many people. As the people's police, shouldn't you arrest any of them? The cold sweat on Zhang Meng's forehead suddenly flowed down. He said in a trembling voice, I'm sorry, Director. I'm incompetent and thoughtless. I'll correct myself in the future. At this time, Li Changji said in a low voice, "Is it just a problem of incompetent? Is there any other reason?" Zhang Meng was so scared that he almost wet his pants. Everyone in Jiangnan City knew that Li Changji was the iron-fisted secretary of the Commission for Discipline Inspection. Anyone who was targeted by this secretary would be in big trouble. The most important thing was that he was really dirty. I. He hesitated for a long time and couldn't say a complete sentence. Shirkuahai said, "Don't talk nonsense. Let Dr. Qin out." Zhang Meng said with a bitter face, "Director Shi, Dr. Qin is not in our police station. He is now in the county crime squad." Li Changji asked with a cold face, "Didn't you arrest him? Why did you send him to the crime squad? Is this in line with the procedure?" Zhang Meng wiped the cold sweat on his forehead and said nervously, "Secretary Li, I just followed the director's order. The deputy director asked me to send him there, so I did." Shirkuahai said, "Stop talking nonsense. Take us to the crime squad of the County Public Security Bureau." "All right. I'm going now. Zhang Meng hurriedly got in his car and led the way. At this time, he thought of Qin Haodong's warning. Now he really regretted it. He regretted provoking such a big shot. He really didn't know whether he could keep his hat after the matter was settled. However, it was too late to regret it now. He could only hope that Fu Haiken could rely on his experience and connections to get through this. If Fu Haiken was fine, then he would naturally be fine. In the criminal police unit of Wufeng County, Qin Haodong was handcuffed to an iron stool, with two young policemen in their 20s guarding him. At this moment, the large metal door of the interrogation room opened, and a middle-aged man in his 50s walked in. He was red and reeked of alcohol. It was obvious that he had just left the table. Fu Haiken heard that he had caught Qin Haodong, so he came to interrogate him personally. The most important thing he wanted to figure out was how Bai Wenjie went crazy. However, there were some private things involved in this matter. Naturally, he didn't want others to hear it. First, he asked someone to turn off the surveillance of the interrogation room, and then he waved to the two young policemen and let them all go out. He glanced at Qin Haodong. The young man was not nervous at all. He looked relaxed, just like a guest here. He asked, "Are you Qin Haodong, the grandson of old Li?" Qin Haodong didn't answer his question. Instead, he looked up and asked, "Are you the director of the County Public Security Bureau, Bai Wenjie's brother-in-law?" Fu Haiken sneered and said, "It seems that you know a lot. In Wufeng County, if you offend me, you will certainly not have a good end. Be sensible and tell me what I ask you. If you make me happy, I can let you stay in prison for a few years less." Qin Haodong smiled slightly and still said to himself, "In fact, you shouldn't have provoked me. After this incident, you should have kept an eye on your brother-in-law and behaved honestly. Maybe you can still be the director for a few more years. But now that you have caught me here, it is destined that the director's position has come to an end. Boy, are you out of your mind?" Fu Haiken felt that he was going crazy. He pointed at Qin Haodong and said angrily, "Tell me honestly, what did you do to Bai Wenjie? How did you make him crazy?" Qin Haodong said, "He is fine. He is not crazy at all." "Nonsense. If he is not crazy, how can he tell what he has done, and you recorded it into a video and posted it on the internet?" Qin Haodong said with a smile, "That's because he found his conscience after my persuasion and education. He finally realized how ugly his behavior was, so he tried to turn himself in." "Bullshit. Do you think I am a child?" Fu Haiken was furious. He felt that Qin Haodong was teasing him. He took a baton from the wall and said, "Boy, it seems that you are not going to tell the truth if I don't give you some pain." After that, he swung the baton in his hand and smashed it at Qin Haodong's head. As the head of the Public Security Department, Shirkuahai had heard some of the dark side of the grassroots. He was afraid that Qin Haodong would be wronged in the County Public Security Bureau, so he hurried all the way. After arriving at the criminal squad of the County Public Security Bureau, he immediately rushed to the interrogation room with his men, opened the door and rushed in. After entering the door, everyone was a little dumbfounded, especially Zhang Meng. His eyes almost popped out of his eye sockets. It was not his fault. The scene in front of him was really beyond people's imagination. They saw Qin Haodong sitting on the chair behind the desk, with his legs on the table, slowly drinking tea. Opposite him, Fu Haiken, the head of the County Public Security Bureau, was sitting on the big iron chair, saying something with tears and snot. Wang Rubing immediately rushed over and grabbed Qin Haodong's arm. She asked with concern, "Brother, are you okay? Do I look like I'm okay?" Qin Haodong said as he stood up and put the teacup on the table. He turned to Shi Kuai and said, "Director Shi, you are a little later than I expected." "I'm sorry, Dr. Qin. We thought you were at the police station, so we went there first and delayed a little time." After that, Shi Kuai introduced Li Changji and others behind him to Qin Haodong one by one. After the greetings, Qin Haodong said to Li Changji, "Secretary Li, you came just in time. After my persuasion and education, Director Fu has realized his mistakes. Now he is looking for someone to confess and turn himself in." He turned to Fu Haiken and said, "Secretary Li is here. Confess all the dirty things you have done from the beginning to the end." To everyone's surprise, Fu Haiken knelt down in front of Li Changji, held his leg and began to confess, "I'm sorry, Secretary Li. I am not a human. I have made mistakes. I want to confess and turn myself in." Later, he confessed all what he had done over the years, such as keeping 3 mistresses outside, letting his brother-in-law Bai Wenjie earn money for him outside, taking bribes from the developer Hong Tianbao in private, and acting as a guarantor for these people. Guarantor, all in all the people present were shocked, especially Zhang Meng, who was almost scared out of his wits. He had participated in many of the illegal things Fu Haiken said. Now that Fu Haiken had fallen, he would not be any better. Li Changji's face was extremely gloomy. He did not expect that as the director of the County Public Security Bureau, Fu Haiken should do so many illegal things. He turned to Yu Shujiang and said, "Secretary Yu, this case is handed over to the County Commission for Discipline Inspection. You must investigate it strictly according to the law. No matter who is involved, you must investigate it to the end. Report to me face to face when you have the result." "Yes." Yu Shujiang answered and asked the staff of the Commission for Discipline Inspection who had just arrived to take Fu Haiken and Zhang Meng away. At the same time, he also arranged other police officers to arrest the developer involved in the case, Hong Tianbao. Hong Tianbao only spent 50,000 yuan to sign the moving agreement with Li Qingshan. He was overjoyed. He had just prepared a table of food and wine at home to celebrate. However, before he could drink the wine, he was taken away by the police who had rushed over. Under the supervision of Li Changji, the staff of the County Commission for Discipline Inspection worked at a high speed. In fact, this case was very easy to handle. The 2 main members, Fu Haiken and Bai Wenjie, confessed to what they had done and said everything they were asked. The staff of the Commission for Discipline Inspection were a little confused. They had never seen such honest criminals in all these years. Not only did the 2 of them clearly state what they had done, but they also revealed the location of the evidence and the location of the account books. If the staff did not understand, they would explain patiently and carefully, including their motives and details of the crime. It was a model of confession. Because of this, Zhang Meng and Hong Tianbao could not deny it even if they wanted to. Soon, the 4 people were taken to the detention center, waiting for the court to pronounce the sentence. In the VIP room of the Ri Li Xiang Hotel in Wufeng County, Qin Haodong, Shi Kuai, and Li Changji sat together. Li Changji looked Qin Haodong up and down. If it were someone else sitting with the head of the Public Security Bureau and the secretary of the Commission for Discipline Inspection, he would inevitably be submissive and nervous. However, the young man in front of him was calm and didn't care about their identities at all. His bearing made them secretly admire him. Dr. Qin, I have something to ask you. I don't know if it's okay. Secretary Li, just say it. Qin Haodong said lightly. I just received a call from my subordinates, saying that what Fu Haiken said is true, and the evidence has been found, which is completely consistent with other people's confessions. I want to ask, how did you make him confess voluntarily? This was indeed a mystery in Li Changji's heart. He had been working for the Commission for Discipline Inspection for so many years, and he knew how stubborn those corrupt people were. They would never confess until the last moment. But Fu Haiken completely subverted his understanding. He confessed all the facts of his crime without any falsehood. Although he didn't know the specific reason, he guessed it must have something to do with the young man in front of him, so he asked. Qin Haodong smiled and said, in fact, it's very simple. I told him the principles of being a man, and he realized his own mistakes, crying and shouting to turn himself in. Li Changji naturally did not believe this. If anti-corruption was so easy, there would be no corrupt people in Huaxia. But the fact was in front of him, and he could not find any reason to refute. Shi Kuai said, Old Li, I told you that Dr. Qin is a master, and we ordinary people can't see through the actions of a master. The case has come to an end, so let's not talk about it. Let's talk about the medical treatment first. Chapter 115. That's not a problem. Qin Haodong asked Li Changji to stretch out his left hand and began to feel his pulse. 2 minutes later, he withdrew his right hand. Shi Kuai asked, How is it, Dr. Qin? Can old Li's disease be cured? Qin Haodong said, No problem. It's not a serious disease. It can be cured now. Now, right here? Li Changji couldn't believe it. He had seen many famous doctors, but none of them could cure his leg. But this young man said that he could be cured here. If Qin Haodong hadn't cured Shi Kuai's disease, he would have thought that he had met a swindler. Here is fine. It'll only take a few minutes. Qin Haodong said. He asked Li Changji to put his leg on the opposite stool and then roll up his trousers. He took out the needle bag from his pocket and began to treat the disease with acupuncture. 5 minutes later, he took back the silver needles and said, Well, try to walk. That's it? Li Changji couldn't believe it. He slowly stood up from the chair and began to try to walk. Originally, his injured leg would hurt badly as soon as it touched the ground. But this time, after walking a few steps, he didn't feel any pain at all. He tried to jump a few more times. He didn't feel any pain. On the contrary, he was much stronger than before. A magic doctor. You're really a magic doctor. After being happy, Li Changji asked, Dr. Qin, what's wrong with my leg? Why can't the doctors in those big hospitals do anything about it, but you can easily cure it here? Qin Haodong said, after your leg was fractured, although the broken bones were connected, the injured nerves and meridians didn't recover. In addition, you haven't had a good rest these years, so you're getting more and more tired. Those doctors of Western medicine don't even know what meridians are, so they can't find the cause. The acupuncture I just performed is called rejuvenating acupuncture. Its biggest effect is to repair the damaged tissues and meridians. Now the meridians and nerves in your leg have recovered, so it naturally doesn't hurt anymore. A magic doctor. You're really a magic doctor. I'm convinced. Li Changji sighed and said, Dr. Qin, how about the consultation fee? Just tell me how much you need. Qin Haodong looked at Li Changji, who was dressed in plain clothes. It seemed that he was not a rich man. Qin Haodong said, Forget about the medical fee. You just need to promise me one thing. Hearing his words, Li Changji's expression changed and he said, Dr. Qin, I never do things that violate my principles, so you'd better charge me. No matter how much it is, just forget about the request. Qin Haodong smiled slightly. Shi Kuai said that Li Changji was an honest and upright official. He didn't believe it at first, but now it seemed that it was true. He said, Secretary Li, I haven't made my request yet. Don't be in a hurry to refuse. Actually, it's not a big deal. My sister, the young lady you just met, passed the civil service exam and entered the Jiangnan Health Bureau. She will be considered a part of the government in the future. Firstly, I'm not asking you to give her a promotion, and secondly, I'm not asking you to give her special treatment. I just want you to give her a chance to prove herself. After listening to his words, Li Changji's expression relaxed and he said, I can promise you this. A talented person will not be buried, but you still have to pay the consultation fee. Qin Haodong said with a smile, well, 100 yuan it is. He knew that Li Changji would never be at ease if he didn't receive the consultation fee, so he symbolically took 100 yuan. Then the three of them had a pleasant meal. After that, Li Changji and Shi Kuai returned to Jiangnan City, and Qin Haodong returned to the traditional Chinese medicine clinic. It was almost midnight when he walked into the house. The room was dark. It seemed that Li Qingshan and his wife had fallen asleep. When he left the crime squad, he asked Wang Rubing to come back and report that he was safe, so that his family would not worry about his safety. In order not to disturb his grandparents' sleep, he went back to his room quietly. After entering the door, he turned on the light with a snap. When the light was on, Qin Haodong was surprised to find that there was a woman lying on his bed. She was wearing pink suspender pajamas, revealing sexy collarbone and smooth shoulders. The two mountains on her chest were very large, and the gully in the middle was bottomless. The hem of the pajamas was very short, only covering the key parts. The straight and slender thighs were extremely attractive under the light. The woman had fallen asleep on the bed, but she woke up immediately after the light was on. She sat up on the bed and lifted her hair in front of her face. Qin Haodong was surprised to find that it was his sister, Wang Rubing. Seeing that Qin Haodong was staring at her, Wang Rubing showed a little shyness on her face and cried, "Little boy, what are you looking at? I say, Bean Sprout, when did you develop so well?" Qin Haodong said, "And, what are you doing in my room at night?" Wang Rubing used to be thin, far less plump and sexy than she was now, so Qin Haodong always jokingly called her Bean Sprout. As the saying goes, a girl changes 18 times between childhood and womanhood. He didn't expect that her figure had changed so much after just over a year. Wang Rubing got out of bed and came to Qin Haodong. She said discontentedly, "Little boy, who are you calling Bean Sprout? Do you have a conscience? The reason why I'm ugly is that you drank all my milk." Qin Haodong was speechless for a moment. They used to quarrel often. Wang Rubing often said such words, but at that time she was thin, so it didn't matter. At this time, looking at the pair of bulging breasts, Qin Haodong suddenly felt that this sentence was too ambiguous. Wang Rubing didn't notice anything wrong and continued to say, "It's because my mother is biased and gives all her milk to you that I can't grow taller. My dream was to be a model, but it's all because of you." At that time, it was really not easy for Zhao Lanxiang to raise 2 children at a time, so Zhao Lanxiang's growth was a little slower than her peers when she was a child. But now she was 1.65 meters tall. Although she was still a little short of a professional model, she was not short among her peers. "Well, it's my fault. I'll buy you a car of Trensu tomorrow, okay?" Qin Haodong said with a smile, "Sister, it's so late. What are you doing in my room? Do you think I want to come? My mother was afraid that you would drink too much, so she asked me to prepare honey water and put it here. You don't know what's good for you." Feeling the concern of his family, Qin Haodong felt warm and said, "I know what's good for me. My sister is the best to me. In the future, when you go to Jiangnan City, I'll cover for you if anything happens." "That's more like it." Wang Rubing was very satisfied with his attitude and asked, "Then tell me first, how did you make so much money? Are you a sugar daddy?" "Sugar daddy?" Qin Haodong was speechless. Was he so qualified to be a gigolo? He said, "How is that possible? My value is too high. The rich woman who can support me hasn't made enough money yet. Tell me, how did you make so much money? Qin Haodong said, I'm a doctor. That money is earned by treating others. Come on, I've treated people all my life, and I haven't made so much money. Wang Rubing didn't believe it. Believe it or not, go back to your room. I'm going to bed. Who cares about you? The honey water is on the table. Wang Rubing left after saying that. Qin Haodong drank up the honey water on the table and suddenly felt much better. Then he went to bed and fell asleep. He was really tired today. The next morning, he was sleeping soundly, but he was directly pulled out of bed by Zhuolangji. Grandma, what's up? He asked. Zhuolangji said, get ready. We're going out for a blind date today. Qin Haodong remembered that there was a blind date. He said helplessly, Grandma, can we not go? Of course not. I've already made an appointment with the girl. But you don't have to go so early, do you? Qin Haodong said. What time is it? Get up and have breakfast. Then get ready. We're the men, so we can't be late. There's no harm in going early. Looking at the old lady's serious expression, Qin Haodong knew that he couldn't avoid it. He had to deal with it. He got up, had breakfast, and followed Zhuolangji out of the house. Grandma, how many are you going to let me meet? Qin Haodong asked. Zhuolangji said with a smile, Child, you must be careful about blind dates. You can't meet too many people in a day. I've arranged 3 for you today. In the morning, you'll meet Grandma Wang, at noon, you'll meet Grandma Li, and in the afternoon, you'll meet Grandma Zhang. Qin Haodong was speechless. It seemed that the old lady had arranged more blind dates than today. There might be more in the next few days. Soon, they came to the door of a cafe to meet the blind date introduced by Grandma Wang. Qin Haodong had seen the girl's photo. Although it had been beautified, she was generally good-looking and could barely reach 60 points. Zhuolangji asked Qin Haodong to go in and wait. She sat directly on the bench opposite the cafe. Qin Haodong was speechless as he looked at his grandma waiting outside the door. It seemed that he couldn't leave the cafe without the blind date. The appointed time was 9:00 in the morning, but 10 minutes had passed, and there was still no sign of the girl. Qin Haodong was annoyed waiting for a while. At this time, his cell phone rang. He took a look and found it was a strange number. He thought it was the girl. After pressing the answer button, he found it was a man. Is this Qin Haodong, Mr. Qin? The tone of the man was very polite. Yes, who are you? Qin Haodong asked. Mr. Qin may not know me. I'm Su Jinkai from Jiangnan First Grade Construction Company. Qin Haodong had heard of Jiangnan First Grade Construction Company. There were 2 most famous construction companies in Wufeng County. One was Tianbao Construction Company of Hong Tianbao, and the other was Jiangnan First Grade Construction Company. The reason why Tianbao Construction Company was famous was that Hong Tianbao took things by force and no one dared to provoke him. In contrast, Jiangnan First Grade Construction Company was a very formal construction company, which made its reputation by the excellent quality of construction. Qin Haodong asked, Boss Su, what can I do for you? Su Jinkai said respectfully, Mr. Qin, after Hong Tianbao was arrested, the reconstruction of the old street was handed over to our Jiangnan First Grade Construction Company. I want to talk to you about the relocation. About the relocation. Qin Haodong thought that these businessmen acted so fast. Hong Tianbao had just been arrested yesterday, and there was already a new move today. Anyway, he was bored now, so he directly sent his address. It had to be said that Su Jinkai's action was really fast. In less than 5 minutes, a black Mercedes-Benz car stopped in front of the cafe. A middle-aged man in his 40s walked into the cafe. Hello, Mr. Qin. After seeing Qin Haodong, Su Jinkai immediately greeted him warmly and reached out his right hand. Qin Haodong shook hands with him and said, Mr. Su, what do you want to talk to me about? Chapter 116. Qin Haodong smiled slightly. It seemed that Su Jinkai regarded his family as a nail-biter. He said, I only have 2 requirements for the relocation. First, build a Chinese medicine clinic of the same size for my grandfather, and we will move immediately after it is built. Second, give the neighbors a fair and reasonable demolition price. That's it. Is there no other requirement? Su Jinkai's face showed an imperceptible surprise. He had inquired about it. This young man seemed to be simple, but in fact he had a strong background. Last night, he put Hong Tianbao in prison, and at the same time, he brought down Fu Haiken, the director of the County Public Security Bureau. Then he brought the director of the police station Zhang Meng and Bai Wenjie to prison. As a local developer of Wufeng County, he knew that if he wanted to complete the reconstruction project of the old street, he must first do the work of the Chinese medicine clinic, and to move the clinic, he must get the consent of this unfathomable young man. In order to reconstruct the old street, he had been prepared for Qin Haodong to make an exorbitant demand before he came. He did not expect that Qin Haodong only made these 2 simple and reasonable requirements. Qin Haodong said with a smile, it's not that simple. Our family is not a nail-biter, and we have never made any unreasonable requirements. Su Jinkai said readily, well, I agree to both of Mr. Qin's requirements. Not only will I build a modern Chinese medicine clinic for Mr. Li, but I will also pay you the demolition fee according to the national standard. I will also give you a 4-bedroom, 2-hall apartment of Jiangnan first grade, with a living area of 160 square meters. He had heard that Qin Haodong easily brought the director of the Public Security Bureau and the secretary of the Municipal Commission for Discipline Inspection. It was certainly not bad to have a good relationship with such a powerful young man. Moreover, Qin Haodong's requirements were too low. Even if he gave him a house, it would be much lower than he expected. Qin Haodong thought about it. He had planned to buy a house for his aunt's family this time. Now someone took the initiative to send it to him, which saved him the trouble of buying a house. Well, I'll take the house. Qin Haodong said again, Mr. Su, is it profitable to reconstruct the old street in this way? Su Jinkai said, of course, it's profitable, and it's very profitable. I'm a businessman, not a philanthropist. I won't do a losing business. Then I don't understand. Since developing the old street in this way can bring huge profits, why didn't Hong Tianbao do it? Su Jinkai smiled and said, it's actually very simple. First of all, Sammo Hung is too greedy. He always wants to earn more, so he deducted everyone's salary. Relocation expenses. Secondly, Sammo Hung's real estate company was a semi-illegal enterprise, and he kept some idle people in the society. These people had to spend a large sum of money every year, and it was naturally counted as part of the company's profits. At the same time, he also gave Fu Haiken and the others some benefits. In comparison, his costs were much higher than a legal enterprise like mine. Of course, Hong Tianbao had his own advantages in doing this. If Mr. Qin hadn't sent him to prison this time, the old street would have been in turmoil. The juicy meat of Qian Qian, it won't even reach my bowl. Qin Haodong nodded and said, oh. I understand. Mr. Qin, can we sign the agreement? Su Jinkai asked. Although the legal representative of the clinic was Li Qingshan, he cared more about Qin Haodong's opinion. Prepare the agreement. I'll ask Grandpa now. Qin Haodong dialed Li Qingshan's number and soon got a positive answer. Then he directly signed the relocation agreement with Su Jinkai. Mr. Qin, this is a fully renovated 4-bedroom and 2-hall apartment in Jiangnan first grade. You don't need to bring anything. You can move in with your luggage. Su Jinkai said as he handed a bunch of door keys to Qin Haodong's hand. I'll arrange someone to handle the housing procedures tomorrow and then send them to Mr. Qin. Su Jinkai did things without delay. After the agreement, he got up and left the coffee shop directly. Not long after he left, the two women walked up to Chin Haodong and sat down without hesitation. Chin Haodong looked at the two women. The younger one was about 20 years old. Although she was not as beautiful as in the photos, she was somewhat similar. It seemed that they were the blind dates he had been waiting for. The middle-aged woman next to her was about 50 years old. She should be the girl's mother. The young woman was wearing a black one-piece dress and black one-piece stockings. Her makeup was so thick that people couldn't see her original appearance, but her arrogance couldn't be hidden. She raised her chin and looked at Chin Haodong with disdain flashing in her eyes. She asked arrogantly, "Are you Chin Haodong?" It was Chin Haodong's first blind date. This feeling was a little strange. He said with a smile, "I am." "Are you Zhang Meili?" The woman didn't answer his question. Her expression was very stiff. She said coldly, "If you want to have a blind date with me, you have to answer a few questions of mine first." "Well, ask away." Chin Haodong had a smile on his face and his attitude was still good. Although the woman looked very rude, after all, she was introduced by his grandma's old sister. He had to save her some face. "Have you bought a house in Jiangnan City?" Chin Haodong thought about it. His villa was given by Lin Ziyuan, so it couldn't be regarded as his own purchase. So he told the truth, "No." Zhang Meili frowned slightly. Obviously, she was not satisfied with his answer. She asked again, "Have you bought a car?" "It doesn't count if it's less than 300,000 yuan. Chin Haodong now had 3 cars, Lamborghini Centenario, Porsche 911 and the Honda, but he didn't buy any of them. He still shook his head and said, "No." The disappointment on Zhang Meili's face became more intense, but she still asked, "Do you have a 7-digit deposit in the bank?" Chin Haodong shook his head again. He did have a deposit in the bank, but it was 8 digits. He really didn't have a 7-digit deposit. "How long have you been working? Why don't you have anything?" Zhang Meili obviously lost her patience and didn't hide her dissatisfaction at all. Chin Haodong thought that Grandma Wang was too careless in her matchmaking work. She didn't even explain his situation clearly. He explained, "Oh, I'm studying at Jiangnan Medical University. There's still 1 year left before I graduate. I haven't worked yet." Hearing that he was a student at a medical university, the woman's face relaxed a little. She thought that after graduation, she would have a good income as a doctor. She asked again, "What's your major?" "Chinese medicine." Chin Haodong said. "What? You actually studied Chinese medicine at the medical university last time. Is there something wrong with your head? What can you do after graduating from Chinese medicine? How much money can you make? What will you live on in the future?" Chin Haodong's answer completely angered Zhang Meili. A series of questions kept popping out of her mouth. She looked as if she had been greatly hurt. The middle-aged woman who had been silent was also angry. She shouted at Chin Haodong with dissatisfaction, "Why did you come here when you don't have anything? Do you think you deserve our beauty?" Chin Haodong didn't care about the result of this kind of blind date. He said with a smile, "Beauty? I really don't see anything except for the word beauty in the name." "You," the middle-aged woman glared at Chin Haodong and said, "What kind of person are you? You deserve to be single for the rest of your life." After that, she took the young woman and left without looking back. So Chin Haodong's first blind date was a failure. However, Chin Haodong's face showed a proud smile. He couldn't wait to end the other 2 blind dates as soon as possible. Soon it was time to go on a blind date with the second girl. This girl named Huang Xiaowan had a much better sense of time than Zhang Meili. Her appearance was also above average, but she still looked arrogant. Huang Xiaowan looked at Chin Haodong and said, "You look good. At least you won't lose face if I go out. We can try to date each other." Chin Haodong was slightly surprised that she agreed so easily. He asked, don't you want to ask me if I have a house, a car, or savings? I have a house, a car, and a savings. There's no need to ask you. The girl said, but I also have my conditions. You must promise us before we can be together. Seeing that Huang Xiaowan didn't want a house, a car, or savings. Qin Haodong asked with interest, then tell me, what are your conditions? To tell you the truth, I'm pregnant. After we get married, whether I give birth to a boy or a girl, you have to treat him like your own child. You can't beat him, scold him, or be fierce to him. Qin Haodong was slightly stunned at first. He didn't expect that this woman would come on a blind date when she was pregnant. Seeing that she was still chattering, he said directly, you mean, you want me to treat him like an ancestor? That's basically what I mean. Huang Xiaowan said, I know this kind of thing may not be easy for you men to accept, but I can give you money and you can spend it as you like. Qin Haodong was speechless. What a weirdo. He said, I can't accept this. You'd better ask someone else. Huang Xiaowan didn't seem to give up. She said, why can't you accept it? It's a good thing. You have a beautiful wife and a child. You can be a father directly after you get married. Qin Haodong said, let's not talk about whether my wife is beautiful or not. Grandpa taught me that I can't get things without sewing. I'd better be self-reliant when it comes to things like getting married and having children. Humph. You really don't know what's good for you. Huang Xiaowan glared at Qin Haodong fiercely and then left the coffee shop angrily. Qin Haodong touched his forehead. He didn't expect to meet such two weird women on his first blind date. Fortunately, there was only one left. If he persisted, it would be over. He would take Lin Momo home tomorrow no matter what. After waiting for about an hour, the third blind date came slowly. According to the information given by Grandma, this girl was called Lu Fangfang. She was much prettier than the previous two. She had short hair that reached her ears and looked very refreshing. She was tall and slender, about 1.7 meters tall. Moreover, she had a curvaceous figure. Her figure could be considered rather voluptuous. Lu Fangfang was also more polite. When she saw Qin Haodong, she first smiled and then said politely, hello, my name is Lu Fangfang. Are you Qin Haodong? Seeing such a beautiful and polite girl, Qin Haodong felt a little better. Finally, he had met a normal blind date. He nodded and said, I'm Qin Haodong. I'm a senior at Jiangnan Medical University. I'm majoring in traditional Chinese medicine. I don't have a car or a house, and I don't have a 7-figure deposit in the bank. Seeing that this was the last one, Qin Haodong was eager to complete the task of the blind date. In order to save time, he told her all his conditions before the girl asked. He hoped that Lu Fangfang could be like Zhang Meili, who would just leave, so that he could go home. Unexpectedly, Lu Fangfang didn't react much. She just smiled and said softly, not bad, not bad. Chapter 117. You're really good. Although you don't have a house or a car now, you can earn money in the future. You're so handsome. It's easy to make money. Qin Haodong felt a little awkward when he heard Lu Fangfang's words, but he couldn't find anything wrong. However, he didn't intend to go on this blind date at all. Since she was satisfied with him, he could only pick on her faults. He asked, do you have any shortcomings? The girl blushed and said, I do have one, but I don't know if you can accept it. Seeing that Lu Fangfang was so direct, Qin Haodong asked, what is it? Tell me. Lu Fangfang blushed even more and said in a low voice, it's nothing. I just don't like men. What? What did you say? Qin Haodong couldn't believe his ears. Do you mind if I say I don't like men? Lu Fangfang said. Yes, I do mind. Although Qin Haodong didn't have much hope for this blind date, he still said angrily, "Why did you come if you don't like men? Do you think I want to come? I have no choice. My mother forced me to get married, but I can't tell her that I don't like men at all. She arranged a blind date for me, so I had to come. In that case, please go back. There's no need for us to talk anymore." Chin Haodong stood up and was about to leave. He had been sitting here for half a day, and now he had finished the task of the blind date. Finally, he could tell his grandmother. "Wait a minute, don't rush." Lu Fangfang looked at Chin Haodong eagerly and said, "Actually, we can get married." "What did you say?" Chin Haodong began to doubt his hearing for the second time. This woman just said that she didn't like men. Why did she suddenly say that she wanted to get married? "If I don't find someone to marry, my secret will be known sooner or later, and my mother will keep arranging blind dates for me. I think you're a good person. Why don't we be together?" Before Chin Haodong said anything, Lu Fangfang immediately said, "Don't be in a hurry to refuse. If you marry me, I can help you find a lot of women. I work in a beauty salon and I know a lot of rich women. They like fresh meat like you. You can play with different women every day, and you can make money. Is there a better marriage than ours? What the hell? Can you be any more ridiculous?" Chin Haodong finally understood what Lu Fangfang meant when she said he had good capital. It turned out that this woman wanted to raise him like a duck the moment they met. He could no longer control his emotions. He took out his cell phone from his pocket and dialed a series of numbers. "Hello, is this the mental hospital? There's a 2 here. You're driving a woman crazy. Hurry up and take her away." After a series of blind dates, Chin Haodong was greatly stimulated. He grabbed the cold coffee on the table and gulped it down, which made his wounded heart feel better. He was not in a hurry to leave. Instead, he took out his mobile phone and dialed Lin Momo's number. After telling her about his tragic experience, he said eagerly, "Momo, when will you come? Hurry up and save me, otherwise Grandma will force me to go on a blind date tomorrow. I'll really go crazy then." On the other side of the phone, Lin Momo was shaking with laughter. "You've seen 3 girlfriends in one day. Isn't that what you've been dreaming of?" Chin Haodong said with annoyance, "Stop laughing. Be careful, or I'll spank you when we get back." "I'll stop laughing. I'm already in Wufeng County, but I have an important business to discuss in the afternoon. I'll be free in the evening." "So soon? That's great. Is Tang Tang here? I miss her after one day without seeing her." What Chin Haodong said was true. He felt empty in his heart after one day without seeing the little fellow, as if something important was missing. "Tang Tang came with me. Last night, she complained that she missed you. She kept holding the jade you gave her. She said that she would think of you when she held the gift." Thinking of his daughter's lovely appearance, Chin Haodong felt warm in his heart. He said again, "Did you miss me?" Lin Momo hesitated for a moment and finally said, "Yes," to the phone. After accepting Chin Haodong from the bottom of her heart, her cold appearance had begun to fade. Chin Haodong was very happy. It was commendable that Lin Momo, who was cold, could express her feelings in this way. They chatted for a while, and he asked, "Where's my daughter? Why didn't she talk to me?" Lin Momo said, "I have an important negotiation right away. Tang Tang went out with Mizan." "Oh. Well, call me when you're done." Chin Haodong hung up the phone with Lin Momo and turned to walk out of the coffee shop. As soon as he went out, Zhuolangji came to him with an eager face. "Grandson, do you like any of these 3 girls?" "Grandma, they don't like me." Chin Haodong really didn't want to explain too much to the old lady, so he directly put all the blame on them. This trick worked. The old lady said discontentedly, "Why don't they like my grandson? My grandson is so excellent. Why don't you like them?" "Son, don't worry. We still have 3 girls tomorrow. Keep looking. I don't believe we can't find a good girl." Qin Haodong was scared and said quickly, "Grandma, I really have a girlfriend. I just called her. I'll see you tonight." "Really? You're not lying to me?" "Really. You'll know when you see her tonight. You'll definitely be satisfied." "That's great. That's great." The old lady was so happy that she couldn't close her mouth. She said, "Grandson, come with me to the mall to buy clothes. We have to dress up to meet my granddaughter-in-law in the evening." Qin Haodong certainly couldn't refuse the old lady's interest. He accompanied Zhuolangji to the mall not far away. Before they entered the door, they suddenly heard someone calling, "Dongzi, is that you?" Qin Haodong looked back and saw a sunny and handsome big boy standing behind him, looking at him with a smile. This was Ma Wenjue, his junior high school classmate and close friend. "Ma, it's you." Qin Haodong was also very happy to see his close friend. After going to college, he lost contact with many of his classmates. Only Ma Wenjue and Qin Haodong often kept in touch. "Hello, Grandma." After greeting Zhuolangji, Ma Wenjue punched Qin Haodong hard on the shoulder and said, "When did you come back? Why didn't you call me? Do you still want to be my brother?" "I just came back yesterday. I didn't have time to go shopping with Grandma. I didn't have time to call you." Qin Haodong said, "Let's have a drink tonight." "It's my apology to you." Ma Wenjue said, "Forget it. It's our class reunion tonight. You should come with us." "Class reunion? Why didn't I know?" Qin Haodong said. It was organized by Geng Minghui, the class monitor. It was a small gathering of classmates in Wufeng County. "No one knew you were back, so I didn't inform you. But since you are here, let's go together." Ma Wenjue said, "By the way, do you have a girlfriend? If you do, take her with you." The class monitor told the classmates that if you have a family member, and if you have a wife, I'm the only single dog. Qin Haodong asked, "What's wrong? Didn't you break up with that Japanese slave for a while? Why haven't you let her go?" Ma Wenjue used to be a couple with his junior high school classmate, Zhang Xiaowei. They were going to get married some time ago, but Zhang Xiaowei suddenly found a Japanese man. It was not a big deal to find a Japanese man, but the one Zhang Xiaowei found was not only short and ugly, but also often beat her. But when he was beaten, he always smiled. So the classmates called her Japanese slave. "Don't mention that woman. It makes me feel suffocated. Remember to come at 6:00 tonight in the number 1 VIP room of the Fragrance Hotel. Be there or be square." "Okay, I'll be there tonight." Qin Haodong hadn't seen his classmates for a long time. He wanted to go and have a look, but he didn't say whether he would bring a girlfriend or not, because he needed to ask Lin Momo's opinion. After Ma Wenjue left, Qin Haodong accompanied Zhuolangji into the shopping mall and began to shop. At the same time, a big event happened in the officialdom of Jiangnan City. Li Changji, the former secretary of the Commission for Discipline Inspection, officially became the acting mayor of Jiangnan City. Li Changji had a very good reputation in Jiangnan City. He was an upright official and very smart. He was the most competitive one among many candidates for mayor. In the morning, the leaders officially sent people to inspect several candidates. Some of them wanted to make a fuss about Li Changji's health, but no one expected that his leg, which had not been cured for many years, suddenly recovered. He was in excellent health, which made him invulnerable. In the afternoon, the organization announced the decision to appoint him as the acting mayor. In the office of the county magistrate of Wufeng County, Zhao Yang frowned. What Fu Haiken had done had a very bad influence on Wufeng County. Although it had nothing to do with him, as the county magistrate in charge, he still couldn't shirk the responsibility. The most important thing was that this case was personally supervised by Li Changji. Now he was promoted to the mayor. Although he was temporarily the acting mayor, everyone knew that it was just a matter of formality. The new mayor had just taken office, and he had left a bad impression on him. Of course, it was not a good thing for Zhao Yang. He cursed 18 generations of Fu Haiken's ancestors in his heart, but the reality didn't change at all. No, I must hurry to change my impression on the mayor, or my future will be bleak. Zhao Yang kept pacing in the office, thinking about how to change his impression on Li Changji. Suddenly, he thought of the young man who was respected by Shi Kuai and Li Changji. In the final analysis, Fu Haiken's case was caused by Qin Haodong, and it could be seen that Shi Kuai and Li Changji had a special relationship with him. If Qin Haodong could put in a good word for him, it would be more effective than anything else. Thinking of this, he found the phone number left by Qin Haodong yesterday and immediately dialed it. As soon as Qin Haodong walked into the mall, his phone rang. He glanced at the caller ID and found it was a strange number. He pressed the answer button and heard the person on the phone said politely, "Hello, Mr. Qin, I'm Zhao Yang." Qin Haodong was slightly stunned, and then realized that Zhao Yang was Magistrate Zhao. He said, "Hello, Magistrate Zhao. Well, Mr. Qin, I want to invite you to dinner tonight. Do you have time?" "Magistrate Zhao, what can I do for you?" Qin Haodong was very clear that as a county magistrate, Zhao Yang would not invite him for dinner for no reason. Zhao Yang said, "Such an unpleasant thing happened to you in Wufeng County, and I'm responsible as a local magistrate. So I want to invite you to dinner to express my apology. Please don't refuse, Mr. Qin." Qin Haodong thought about it. After all, many of his relatives would live in Wufeng County in the future, and it was good to have a good relationship with the magistrate. So he said, "Magistrate Zhao, thank you for your concern, but I have something to do tonight. How about 8 o'clock? Sure. Then let's meet at 8 o'clock in the Fragrant Hotel. I'll send someone to pick you up. Mr. Qin, I won't bother you anymore." Chapter 118. Seeing that Qin Haodong accepted his invitation, Zhao Yang breathed a sigh of relief. After hanging up the phone, he felt much happier. He picked up the notebook on the table and walked into the meeting room next to him. Qin Haodong accompanied Zuolangji to shop for the whole afternoon. He bought some new clothes for the old lady, gold rings and earrings, and decorated her from head to toe. It was nearly 6 o'clock in the evening when he sent Zuolangji home. He drove directly to the Fragrant Hotel. He just left here last night and came here again today. But it was not surprising. Wufeng County was a small county, and there was only one high-class hotel. Soon after he got in the car, his cell phone rang again. It was Lin Momo. "Papa, I miss you." Hearing the voice of the little fellow, Qin Haodong felt his bones were soft. He said happily, "Papa misses you too. Papa, tell me where you are. I'll go to find you with Mama." The little fellow said eagerly. Qin Haodong asked the little fellow to give the phone to Lin Momo, and then said, "I'm going to attend a class reunion. You can come with me. Is it appropriate for me to go?" Lin Momo said with some confidence. "Of course it's appropriate. Take the little fellow with you. Those guys will be jealous when they see our two beauties." Lin Momo thought for a moment and said, "Well, tell me the address. I'll take Tang Tang there now. You're not familiar with the road. I'll send you the location when I get there." Qin Haodong said, "What have you been doing this afternoon?" "Lin's group wants to build a jade processing industrial base in Wufeng County. We've taken a fancy to a piece of land and just attended the land bidding. How's the result? With the financial resources of Lin's group, there should be no problem, right?" Qin Haodong said. "It's hard to say. I don't feel very optimistic." Speaking of this, Lin Momo's tone was a little low. "How is it possible? Is there any company more powerful than Lin's group in Wufeng County? You don't know. The business world is very complicated. It's not only the strength of the company, but also other factors, such as interpersonal relationships and so on. Our main opponent today is Pang's Group, a local enterprise in Wufeng County. Although they are not large, they are local enterprises and have a very close relationship with all aspects of the county, so I don't think the chance of success is high. Qin Haodong said, "Would you like me to help you? You can't help me with this kind of business competition. I'll handle it myself." In Lin Momo's eyes, although Qin Haodong was a native of Wufeng County, he was just a student with an ordinary family background. It was impossible for him to help her. Qin Haodong smiled and said nothing more. "Well, let's talk about it when we meet." In the first VIP room of the 10 Miles Fragrance Hotel, although it was not yet time for the official gathering, 7 or 8 people had already arrived. They were all Qin Haodong's classmates in junior high school. Most of them did not go to college. After graduating from junior high school, they began to find their own jobs, including Ma Wenjue, who had been working everywhere to make a living. At this time, the students who had arrived earlier were all gathered together to talk, and the family of 3 was sitting in the center. The woman was Qin Haodong's classmate, Zhu Linlin. At this time, she was holding a little boy of 3 or 4 years old in her arms. What was different about the little boy was that his skin was black and his hair was curly. He was a purebred black man. And the little boy's father, who was Zhu Linlin's husband, was even darker and shiny. He was 190 meters tall and looked very strong with muscles all over his body. "Linlin, I really envy you. You can find a foreigner." The one who spoke was a slightly fat girl. It was Ma Wenjue's ex-girlfriend, Zhang Xiaowei. "Marrying Cafu is the best choice in my life. He is very good to me and very rich," Zhu Linlin said with a proud face, deliberately showing the big diamond ring on her right hand. "Xiaowei, you are also good. I heard that you are going to marry to Neon soon." Zhang Xiaowei suddenly became energetic and said proudly, "Yes, my boyfriend is a construction engineer in Neon. He is preparing for the wedding. I will marry him next year. You worship foreign things. I really don't know what you women think. Now our country is getting stronger day by day. Is it so good to marry abroad?" It was Ma Wenjue who spoke. "He came very early today. At first, he didn't say anything, but then he couldn't bear it anymore. He said to Zhang Xiaowei angrily, 'Even if you want to marry abroad, you don't have to find a Neon man. Look at your Kamita Jiro. He is less than 1.5 meters tall and walks with bowed legs. I heard that his parents raise pigs in Neon. Are you going to raise pigs?' Zhang Xiaowei immediately screamed as if her tail had been stepped on. 'Ma Wenjue, what are you talking about? What's wrong with being short? What's wrong with raising pigs? They are rich. No matter how bad my boyfriend is, he is 10,000 times better than you, a poor man who works everywhere. I was really blind to fall in love with a person like you.' Zhu Linlin glared at Ma Wenjue. Obviously, she was extremely dissatisfied with the words, "worship foreign things," just now. She then said, "Ma Wenjue, I didn't expect you to be so nationalistic. But foreign men are better than you. If you have the ability, you should also make more money, so that we don't have to go abroad to find one. So I think Xiaowei's choice is right. You are not so good, so don't be jealous of others." After that, she also leaned against Cafu's dark body, with a look that said, "Don't be jealous of me." With Zhu Linlin's help, Zhang Xiaowei was even more energetic. She pointed at Ma Wenjue's nose and shouted, "Although he is short, he can make money. You are tall, but you will still be poor for the rest of your life." She then said to several female students next to her, "We women should not be stupid when looking for a boyfriend. Lin is the best example. When she was in school, she also chased after Qin Haodong in our class. Now everyone has seen that Qin Haodong is handsome, but what's the use? Can being handsome be used to eat? Can being handsome be used to spend money? If Lin married him, would that poor boy be happy now? You. You. Ma Wenjua trembled with anger. He stamped his feet hard and turned to leave. No one could stop him. As soon as he went out, he bumped into Qin Haodong, who had just come. Ma, you are so early. Where are you going? Ma Wenjua said angrily, Dongzi, this place is not suitable for us to stay. Let's go. I'll treat you to a drink. Qin Haodong glanced at Zhang Xiaohui, who was standing at the door with her arms crossed. He immediately understood what was going on and whispered, What's wrong? Are you still angry with that slave? Ma Wenjua said, Dongzi, why do women nowadays become so snobbish? It's so annoying. In fact, it's normal for Zhang Xiaohui to break up with me. It's not that I can't forget her. It's just that she found a short, ugly, and bow-legged neon man. I really can't swallow it. And Zhu Linlin, who pursued you, turned around and found a big black man. Then she gave birth to a little black man. What's so good about that? For the sake of stinky money, she made her children and grandchildren all black men. Qin Haodong was slightly stunned. He still remembered Zhu Linlin. She was a good-looking girl. She had pursued him for a year in junior high school, but he didn't agree. He didn't expect that she would end up with a black man. It had to be said that black people had strong genes. No matter if they were white or yellow, as long as they married a black man, their children would all be black. This couldn't be changed no matter how much money they had. Forget it. Why are you angry with her? We can't leave. If we leave, it's exactly what the slave wants. We're here for the class reunion. Just ignore her. Ma Wenjua thought that it was really embarrassing to leave like this, so he followed them back. Seeing Ma Wenjua return to the box, Zhang Xiaohui said sarcastically, What's wrong? Did someone give you courage to meet your fellow sufferer? Qin Haodong said, Forget it, Xiaohui. We're all here for the class reunion. Let's talk about something fun. He originally wanted to calm down the conflict between Ma Wenjua and Zhang Xiaohui and let it go. Qin Haodong, why are you pretending to be a good person? Everyone knows that you and Ma Wenjua are in the same boat. But there's one thing that you're exactly the same. You're both poor. Qin Haodong's face suddenly darkened. He didn't expect this woman to be so unreasonable. Ma Wenjua said angrily, Zhang Xiaohui, are you a mad dog? Bite whoever you see. Did Haodong offend you? What? Am I wrong? Zhang Xiaohui pointed to Zhu Linlin, who was sitting next to them and watching the fun, and said, Look at Linlin now. She's wearing famous brands. Look at the diamond ring on her hand. It's bigger than a pigeon's egg. If she had followed Qin Haodong, I'm afraid that she would also be working outside and wearing the same clothes. Xiaohui, it's all in the past. Don't talk about it. We were young and ignorant at that time. Fortunately, we didn't make a lifelong mistake. As she spoke, she stretched out her right hand, stroked the huge diamond ring, and said, In fact, this ring is not too expensive. It's only about 500,000 yuan. I guess Qin Haodong can buy such a ring even if he doesn't eat or drink for 8 or 10 years. Dongzi, look at them. Ma Wenjua's face was red. He was about to explode because of these two powerful women. Qin Haodong had 500 years of experience, so he didn't care too much about this kind of trifle. He said, Forget it. It's all in the past. Let them say whatever they want. He didn't want to talk about it anymore, but Zhang Xiaohui didn't let it go. Qin Haodong had the best relationship with Ma Wenjua, so she also hated Qin Haodong. She said sarcastically, It sounds like what we said was unreasonable. Am I wrong? Poor people like you can only deceive ignorant little girls with your looks. Now we are all adults, and no one will be fooled by you anymore. What's the result? You two are single dogs, right? You two are single. No woman will be stupid enough to fall for poor people like you. That's why it's useless for a man to be handsome. The most important thing is to have the ability to make money. Zhu Linlin also said, Xiaoyi's words may be a little harsh, but it's true. You two don't even have a girlfriend. Look at us. Xiaoyi is going to get married soon. My baby is already 3.5 years old. Don't you think it's cute? As she spoke, she held up the little black boy in her hand to show off to everyone. Ma Wenzhuo was so angry that he said, "It's so black. What's so cute about it? Why can't I see it?" Zhu Linlin didn't like it and said angrily, "You poor man, what are you talking about?" Zhang Xiaoyi said, "Linlin, don't lower yourself to their level. They can't even find a wife, so they are jealous." Zhu Linlin snorted, "Sour grapes. If you have the ability, give birth to a cute one." You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.